So, Robert, we're here to interrogate you about more Buffy. Are you excited?
Yes. Yeah. I'm glad to be back.
Going into
It's probably
this,
been it's probably been like what, 2 months since
something like
our
that, because we took April off,
season.
basically. Um, so going into this, were you like excited to get back to the show, kind of dreading it? What was your mindset going into these 12?
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. I was looking forward to it. It helps that the season 2 finale was really good, and I think still maybe the best episode of the show that I've seen so far. So that made it a lot easier to just fall back into this and go, oh yeah, I'd like to watch and see where that goes.
Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit episode by episode, but I want to start with just getting some general feelings. So, Robert, if you could put yourself back into if you just finished season two, what were your questions or hopes or anything you were wanting to get resolved going into this season?
That's hard to say just because it's impossible to not know that Angel would be back. Spoiler alert, and get a spinoff. So I knew that was inevitable. Um, I I had I think some on point predictions where I figured like okay Buffy will probably be back pretty quickly, because it's a TV show of that time. But I thought that was all paced fine. How we bring her back and kind of reintegrate into the main cast. Yeah, I obviously knew I could tell with season 2 that there was something more shady going on with the principal. And I think it was the end of season 2 where we set up that like, oh, the mayor's like in on this in some capacity. So, and now that I've met him, it seems like he might be like the big bad of this season, or a big bad. Like
Okay,
uh
so
he's a very bad guy.
I'm gonna jump off what you said about her coming back, and let's talk about episode
Mm.
one. And how did you feel about how this episode handled her leaving and coming back, and how what she's doing in? I think it's in Los Angeles, which is interesting because that's where Angel will take place.
Oh, okay. No, that all that stuff was fun. I like seeing where she was, living a low key life, um, working as like a waitress, taking care of herself. Like I liked all that. What did surprise me was kind of how what the rest of the Scooby Gang is doing, how they're kind of stepping up for her and trying to take care of the vampire slaying and are very bad at it.
It kind of helps
So yeah,
show like
I
why
enjoyed
the
all that stuff.
Slayer is the Slayer. Like
Yeah.
so, because I don't know if you put this together because they kind of just brush it under with a line of dialogue, but that woman that Buffy meets and ends up helping is from episode 7 of last season's Lie to Me.
Hmm.
And I thought that was cool. They brought back like just a minor reoccurring character, kind
That
of
is
really
cool.
established some
Some
uh,
continuity.
yes, that's the word.
The show is very good about that, but it's also something I have to fact check like most of the time, where I don't offhand remember a lot of these side characters when they show up. Like was it the cheerleader, like the girl in that first season who we
Oh, the
like thought
witch.
was a witch? Yeah, but like we thought she was the bad guy, but her mom was the actual bad guy of
Yes,
that episode.
Amy.
Yeah, she comes back and I didn't immediately recognize her, so that happens a lot
That's fair.
with
Yeah,
with me this season.
yeah.
But yeah, all that stuff is fine.
I really liked the plot of this episode where these people are going missing and you find out they're being worked to death in this like alternate dimension where time speeds up.
Hmm.
This is also the one and only title drop in the entire show where she
Oh.
says, Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, and you are?
Mm,
That is the only time the whole thing is said together, which I thought
that's
was
funny.
neat. And I
So
don't know if you noticed real quick in that scene, she's holding a hammer and a sickle.
mm,
Little on the
that's fun.
nose there for you.
So correct me if I'm wrong, and I can't tell like how coincidental this is or not. So that dimension Buffy goes to, is that where Angel is?
No.
Uh, okay, that
So
wasn't clear.
because Buffy tends to just use the word dimension for anything that is not
There's
our dimension.
there's a lot of dimensions.
Yes. And there will be more. Uh Angel is in a hell dimension, basically in hell. That is another place where time just moves quicker.
Okay,
vague time displacement universe. Not the only universe that we will universe that we will see in this half of the season, but we'll get there. But no, I like this episode a lot. I like because a lot of the times you expect it to be wrapped up even before the first episode's over. I like that we take this whole first episode to just do a completely different status quo. Like she's living in LA, she's taking care of herself. I thought this stuff was all really cool. Sarah Michelle Gellar's performance is wonderful. I think she carries this episode.
And another thing this episode establishes is we got a dream sequence with her and Angel with David Boreanaz to justify his name still being in the opening credits.
Yeah, but at least it's personal to her. Like it is a manifestation of her guilt.
Yeah. Do you think so? One of the big questions I have for you, like with this first half and how we handle the Angel stuff, is: do you think it was like putting yourself back in the 1990s? Was it a mistake to keep him as a series regular for the very next season after how season 2 ends? Because it does immediately spoil to the audience that, yeah, he's coming back. This isn't permanent.
Yes, but only in that I feel like that's a studio mandate thing to announce it. I think if Whedon had his way, you wouldn't have known until he came back.
Yeah, because it's also, like, I like the way his return is handled for the most part, but that's something you also could have drawn out a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Tyler asked how many seasons does Buffy have? 7, and then you have 5 seasons of Angel. So yeah, I think it's fine how he comes back. I would have if I was Whedon and I had the way about it, and I think Whedon would agree with me. I wouldn't put him in the credits until he showed back up.
yeah, and then there's contracts, and
Yeah,
it was a different time back then.
was it? Yeah.
Because now in streaming, like the landscape is so different, where like you'll see actors only credited on episodes that they actually appear in.
Yeah. But I like the way that this episode ends with her kind of realizing that she is the Slayer, and I've always kind of compared her as the Superman of the Buffy universe, and Angel would be the Batman. It's not a 1-to-1, but like even at her lowest, she still can't help but help people. She helps this woman find her boyfriend, and then ends up setting her up with her fake identity in her apartment because she is going back to Sunnydale. Did that all play for you? Like, did that feel consistent with Buffy as a character? Okay.
No, Sarah Michelle Gellar is still fantastic. Still one of the best parts of the show.
She delivers Whedon dialogue better than anyone I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think that first episode is very solid. Like, yeah, it's a good premiere.
So let's go ahead and move on to the second episode, which I think has some problems.
Okay. Oh boy, I'm curious to see how much.
Do you remember Pet Sematary?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
My biggest issue with this episode is I don't want to say it's an ongoing already, but we have the foundation. The writers want to display that as close to her friends as she is, that Buffy will always be kind of on the outside. The problem is that the way that they do that is make everyone in her life an awful person who decide that the only way to deal with this, except Giles. Giles does not get this treatment, which I love for him. I have other problems with Giles later. Decides the only way to deal with this is to ignore her, or in Joyce's case, be overprotective to the point of lunacy, and then get mad at her when she wants to leave again.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually like the Pet Sematary stuff. I think it's fun. The character drama in this episode is a low point for me.
Yeah, there are themes going on in this episode that I think are explored better in a later episode. We'll get to it. I think the big problem with the Pet Cemetery subplot, and I called it because I knew it was gonna do this, was, oh, this is just a convenient, life-threatening problem that our characters have to solve, and that kind of resolves the conflict, and it shouldn't. where it's like we have a lot of character conflict and a lot of arguing with Buffy and her friends in this episode, and instead of actually resolving it, we just have this threat show up on her doorstep that they have to deal with, and then they're just kind of chill after that. And I was like, I was hoping they wouldn't do that, but that's kind of what they do.
To give them credit, it does come back at least with Joyce, but we do kind of throw it under the bus with we'll get to Joyce. Because I was thinking of you while watching a couple of the episodes in this season. I was like, oh, good. I think Xander, especially, Xander continues to be a weak spot, and it's getting harder and harder for me to defend him as I'm rewatching this.
Yeah.
We'll get to it later. This is my favorite season. There's a subplot that will start, I think, later, that drives me insane. Might be the worst later in this season, like in this first half, because I don't remember where it first pops up, but there's a fuck. What was this? Oh, Xander treats her like trash in the showdown for no reason. And the thing that drives me nuts is that Buffy even mentions, well, Mom, you told me if I went out that door, don't come back. And to Joyce's credit, she does say, and this is what I said in the last review. You dropped this nuke on me and expected me to be okay with it right away. The problem is then we never touch this again and never let them work through it.
And okay. And I'm still mad at Joyce for that, because she keeps saying, well, you dropped this bombshell on me. It's like, no, she didn't. What happened was a vampire showed up trying to kill you, and you just happened to be there, and then you saw Buffy kill a vampire, and that's when the cat was out of the bag.
But to be fair, all she wanted was an explanation. I'm with Buffy that she didn't have time, but you also can't just expect somebody to be okay with this and go along with everything, especially your mom.
No.
But then Joyce also shouldn't have reacted like that.
Yeah. I hate Joyce. She's awful. She's worse this season. I'm expecting at some point we're already kind of seeing this. We're just gonna kind of drop some of her negative traits and act like that's just progression, and just ignore. Because what I hate about that scene is when Buffy's like, "You told me if I left to never come back." Joyce doesn't apologize. She just says, "I wasn't thinking straight." Like, you can't blame me for saying that. And what is so frustrating about Joyce and Xander and why they're so unlikable this season is that they never take accountability and they never apologize. And those are two very unlikable traits.
And the Xander one, I think, is Xander's frustrating because there's moments, because in some ways he feels the most real there's moments where you can tell he's trying, but because of it's just the way he is, he keeps slipping into these. Like, we'll have a moment later where he's like, I know I'm not the greatest friend when it comes to the angel thing, but I want to try.
Yeah, that also comes way late.
Yes. My problem with that scene is that should have been where Xander took accountability for not telling her that Willow... Yep. Instead, that won't come up until season 7, and we will throw it under the bus and have one throwaway line. That should have been where the accountability was, I didn't tell you this thing, because at the end of the day, what Buffy did is because of all of them. Well, not Willow, but
yeah,
Willow is the reason that she's leaving again, because Willow decides, well, I'm just going to ignore you.
Yeah. And I will say, not that I'm on her side, but in terms of, because what I call this season, like, this is the everybody hates Buffy season. There is a lot of that this season. I think the Willow stuff is the most understandable. Not that I agree with her, it's just more I understand it. Like,
she also feels more nuanced. She's not holding a grudge. She just doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, she's like, hey, you were my best friend, and then you just disappeared, and I don't know how to process that. Whereas Xander goes the route of being an asshole.
Yes.
And then he again throws it in her face, like, hey, you fell in love with the monster. That's on you. And it's like, we're still on that? Like,
yeah.
That stuff is frustrating because everyone, like, is on the same page and understands that that his connection with Buffy, like, was genuine, and then this thing happened, and then he became, a full-on demon. Like, everyone understands that this isn't a, hey, I told you so don't love a vampire and then he backstabbed you. It's like, no, everyone's on the same page of like what
Except Xander.
happens.
Xander has always been on that same page. I told you this was a bad idea.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But he feels vindicated. It's
yes,
like when Angel becomes a full demon and is killing people. It's like Xander feels vindication
yes.
over that happening, which is frustrating. So yeah, and again, no disrespect to Nicholas Brendan.
I think
Once
he's
again,
quite good here. It's just
R.I.P.
the writing is the
Yeah,
problem.
his performance is fine. I think this season is the worst Xander's ever been. Like they've really doubled down
Yeah,
on a lot of his negative traits, but I can't tell how intentional that is.
yeah, and I end up liking Xander at the end of the day. I think that is a character that gets better once Angel goes off because then they don't have that well to tap
Hmm.
into. Um, I do I like
But
Giles in this episode a lot. I feel
yeah,
like he's the only one actually on Buffy. Oh, sorry. The most unlikable Joyce moment though is that this goes with her being unable to take accountability. Giles says something and she's like about blaming herself and she's like, I don't, I
I
blame
blame
you.
you,
What?
bitch. Yeah, that's my problem with that's my biggest frustration with Joyce. It's not like these isolated moments just to show that yeah, she's human, she's not perfect. It's all of these negative
Yeah, and
moments
that's
with
never
her
played
stacked on
like
top
that
of
for me
each other.
before, but on this watch, I'm just like, oh, oh no.
Yeah, and I know I think with Joyce in particular, it's just seeing parents refuse to apologize to their children
Yeah.
is just something that particularly rubs me the wrong way. And there's so much of that with Joyce this season where she's just not taking accountability and everything's Buffy's fault or Giles' fault in that case. And it's like, come on.
But here and then this episode also does have the start of a years long arc for Willow. She starts to delve into witchcraft,
Mhm.
which will come up later in an episode that I don't know how I feel about. Did you have anything else you want to talk about this episode? Anything that really kind of stuck out to you?
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know how I fix the Joyce stuff. Apologizing more would certainly help. But she this comes up a lot where she acts like this is something that Buffy chose, and it's like she didn't.
I think the
um,
main thing is you needed to finally have that conversation because even as of episode 11, it still feels like Joyce doesn't understand the Slayer thing.
no. Um, but like, so in that scene at the end of season 2, where she tells Buffy, "If you leave, never come back," it's like you could say, "Okay, heat of the moment, mistake, whatever." Not having her apologize for saying that's a problem.
Yeah,
Because when Buffy throws that back in her face, I'm Team Buffy.
yeah.
Where Joyce doesn't say, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that." She's like, "Well, what? I don't know. I was in the moment." It's constantly making excuses
Let
for
me ask
herself.
you:
That is
do
so
you think that's
frustrating.
a relic of its time? Like, is that because it's written in the '90s? Like, did we just have a different mindset at that
Maybe a
point?
little bit. We definitely saw more of these types of parent
Mm.
archetypes and kind of forced conflict with their
Also, can I
children.
say I think the MVP of this first half is Oz. Oz is
It's great.
awesome, and Seth Green was born to deliver Joss Whedon dialogue. He's so good at it.
Hmm. Well, season 2 with him is weird because like that's where we established that he's a werewolf, but then we don't talk about that for a long time. And then there's episodes where he's just missing, and then I forget about him, and then he's back. So it's nice to see him as just part of the main crew. Um,
Yes.
one other positive thing I wanted to say about episode 2 before we forget about it is Giles isn't the only character who has Buffy's back in that episode. Cordelia is also cool with Buffy.
Yes,
I
Cordelia in
wish
her own
I wish we
Cordelia
had more
way.
with that. Well, because when Buffy first shows up, uh, Cordelia is like, "Oh, hi, Buffy," and it's like very nonchalant about it. And then she's like the one character who sticks up for Buffy at that party. And like I said, the Willow stuff, I don't think she's in the right, but I can understand it. But I get that her friends are frustrated because she disappeared without saying goodbye, and they've kind of had to pick up the slack. And I get all that, But was it bothering you that like not one character is like, Buffy has already saved the world a lot and has been through a lot of trauma. Maybe let's cut her some slack here. It's like, especially Xander, who is the most like, Buffy, you are selfish. You are an asshole for leaving. Like he's the worst about it.
So I think Xander is probably like Willow's the most, I think, relatable response. Xander is probably the most human response. He's wrong, and I think deep down he knows he's wrong because he does say that later, I know I've been unreasonable about this. But in the moment, he's in his own feelings. I think we've established at this point like he doesn't have a good home life. I think he's just a product of his environment. It's wrong, it's bad, but I see what they're going for, I guess is what I should say.
And all of that stuff is better if we just had him fucking apologize to her. That's my problem with it, is it's like you have all this conflict and arguing, and then we just kind of drop it, ignore it for a while. And if he just apologized to Buffy one time
Yeah.
in these first few episodes, that would have gone a long way. Because again, I can't tell how much I'm supposed to like him or not, because he's just the
Also,
worst.
because I've often compared Buffy as like Spider-Man kind of mixed with vampires and horror. This episode we get an Aunt Anna, and it's really funny. Like, were you thinking that when we were watching that? When you were watching that, like she's just Aunt Anna from like the '90s Spider-Man show.
No, that's fair.
But yeah, I don't know. It's this, and I think this season is better at making some of the filler feel important because like this should be a filler plot, but it's not. But
no, as a whole, despite my many frustrations with like the character drama in that episode, I do think as a whole this has been the most consistent season in terms of quality.
Yes.
Like
and
I
it
don't
will
think
never be this good again.
Oh, I don't think there's as big of a chasm in quality between like the real episodes and the filler episodes as the first couple seasons had.
Yes.
So I'll give them credit for consistency.
But speaking of plot episodes, we get Faith, Hope, and Trick, where we meet a new very important character. How did you feel about Faith Lahane?
I like her. That's Eliza Dushku. Yeah, she's good. She's fun. And again, this is where the season doubled down on the everybody hates Buffy theme. Is this new Slayer shows up and everyone's like, "Oh, she's great. She's so much better than Buffy."
So to be fair, I don't think it's quite that. She's more outgoing. Buffy is a very serious and focused person. Also, Faith is the easy, fun having, wild but also, story.
Immediately though, Joyce is like, "Oh, Faith is great."
Yeah.
like
no, the funniest one is Xander because he just wants to like imagine her naked. That's the only reason he cares. No, we've got some Xander stuff to talk about when we get there. I don't think we've gotten there yet,
but also with Joyce, this isn't me defending her. I'll just say it is understandable as a parent to be like it's much easier to like a Slayer when they're not your own child.
Yes.
And it's like, oh yeah, I can support Faith in what she's doing and not get worked up over it because that's not my daughter.
Well, and it's got to be like, so I don't know if you've noticed yet, just because we're kind of still in the first half, but Faith is like the foil of Buffy. She is the opposite. So of course, she's easier to like. She's easier to get along with. She doesn't take anything seriously. But at the end of the day, Buffy is, I think, the better person. And I think that's established as of this episode even. Because the minute a big bad shows up, she's ready to run.
Yeah, and we also find out that Faith's Watcher died, which that must have happened quickly.
Yeah, the timeline on this is a little wonky. So, because I wanted to ask you, because we kept it quiet, but Kendra dies in the finale, in the 2-part finale of Buffy. Did you expect them to pay that off with another Slayer at all?
Yeah, I don't know how much I knew about Faith other than just knowing that Eliza Dushku was in this show. So yeah, I'm not sure, but like that tracked for it, especially based on just our previous conversation. I was like, oh yeah, there's gonna be a new Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
taking her place. So that I figured was gonna happen, but beyond that, I didn't know a whole lot
It's
about
kind of
Faith
funny that it's
going into
Buffy
this.
the Vampire Slayer, but she's the active Slayer for like a season. She's not actually the chosen one anymore. Um, well, here we get Mr. Trick, who I love Mr. Trick.
He's fun.
Kakistos, who's fine. He's there to give Faith a tragic backstory.
Yeah.
We also see Buffy trying to move on with Scott, who
Yeah.
is there. Is there.
Is there?
I'm shocked that went more than one episode.
Honestly, this happens a few episodes later, but when he breaks up with her, I'm like, yeah, good for him. That was the mature thing to do.
That was the funniest thing too, the way it just hard cuts to him dumping her. Also, am I on the drugs, or does that look like he looks like not James Franco, the other Franco.
Oh, Dave Franco?
He kind of looks like Dave Franco a little bit.
I can see that. There's a lot of white guys this season where I'm like, wait, is that a different character?
His name is Fab Filippo, the actor.
Good for him. And then the end of episode 3 is when Angel shows up.
Yes.
For real. So, he's back.
Oh, he was in Ready or Not.
Is he like one of the family members in it?
Hang on. Oh, never mind. He's in Ready or Not, the Canadian television show. Yeah, so did you expect to get Angel back that quickly?
Yeah, just given that he's still credited as a series regular, I figured that would happen probably around episode 3 or episode 4.
Yeah, so I mean, this is an important episode, but it's not like a dense episode. It's just, we got Angel back on the plate. We got Faith.
This season feels much more serialized than this show has ever felt, where it's like, yeah, these aren't like standalone episodes you should just jump into. It's like, no, we're just telling a story in chapters, and there isn't much that I'd call skippable. The first 2 seasons are a lot more awkward about it, where you'll have like a filler A plot, but then there's like a B plot that's important, so you can't skip the episode. Shows did that a lot back in the day, but this feels the most serialized it's ever felt, where it's just
I often describe 3 is where they perfect balancing. Well, we have 24 episodes, like 22, 23 episodes, and making each of them at least feel somewhat important, or at least not skippable. Because like the Pet Cemetery episode, it you can't skip that, because that's the arguing and everything. However, I say that part of me almost thinks you could skip episode 4, except for a couple things. This one was kind of hard for me to get through when it's the A plot.
This one has a goofy A plot.
Yeah, do you remember Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
Well, we mentioned it just in case you didn't get it.
Yes.
This sounds like the most half-assed explanation ever. Like, oh yeah, you just made this.
Yeah.
Sure.
Tyler, what would you say is the strongest episode and weakest? We'll talk about best and worst at the end. What I like about this episode is Oz thinking that he got out and killed someone. Although it is a little weird how much evidence there is that it could have been him. Like the window is open.
That's one of those things that doesn't hold up to scrutiny after the fact when you think about it too hard. Like, and this is an example of using Xander as like the butt of a joke in a way that is at least funny, where he just slept on the job. And God, I wish we had more of Giles hating Xander, because whenever we get it, it's great.
Is it cathartic for you?
Very. But yeah, why was the window open? No idea. Not explained.
Nope.
But yeah, all the Oz stuff in that episode is really good.
And we get our first werewolf redesign, and it's bad. It's real bad.
I think it's fine.
I think that is the one problem that I have with the show creature wise, is they never settle on a look for werewolves, and none of them look good. And then slight spoilers, like after Oz leaves, we never mention them again. We never see them again. They give up.
Uh, but also we get a guest appearance with who is it? Like the guidance counselor,
Yes,
the guy
Mr.
played
Mosby.
by Mr. Mosby from Sweet Life. Cause Phil Lewis. When that guy showed up, I was like, I recognize this
Yeah, I
guy.
was like, wait a minute,
Uh,
I know this guy.
yeah,
So the metaphor here is supposed to be like kind of toxic relationships, uh, men that are more beast than anything,
yeah.
which is a parallel with Angel because he's basically not there, like mentally yet.
But then after this episode, he's fine. Like
Yeah,
that didn't go on as long as I was expecting. Like he goes from being a feral animal to pretty chill. That I thought they would have dragged that
my
out more.
my problem with this as a metaphor is that the villain is so cartoonishly over the top and never threatening. Like the only
No,
conflict that exists is because he's broken this woman down, and I feel bad for her. But I can't take it even seriously because like I don't think the makeup is good.
no.
His performance
Well,
is not great.
well, we're also contrasting her with our main female characters. You know, as somebody who is very weak and just can't break out of her shell and stand up for herself. And of course, it ends for tragedy and everybody, partially due to plot convenience, so we can just kill everybody that we don't have to deal with later.
But did you like his like shaking head transformation?
It was fun.
I don't like the werewolf design, but I liked the werewolf versus Mr. Hyde bit.
Yeah,
It's kind of funny when he's like throwing Oz around. He's like, dude, you do not want to be here in a few minutes when the full moon shows up. But this also establishes that they keep the werewolf in that little cage at the
yes.
library, which apparently that's the only purpose that it serves. I don't know why that's there for a library.
Yeah, well, it's like the extra important books they lock away.
Well, we'll get into that here in a minute because sometimes I feel like the characters forget that's a public school library.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, really, the main thing is just that Angel remembers Buffy and the parallels. This is a fine episode, but I think one of the weaker ones. Did you have anything else to say about this one?
No, that's pretty much it. I thought it was fine.
And then we get Homecoming, which I think is quite good. We get
Yes.
I think one of the best transitions this season when she's like, I just want to go to prom or whatever with Scott, and then it hard cuts to him dumping her.
Yes.
It's great.
There there is a little bit of Cordelia regression in this one that I don't like, but it's at least resolved well. So I at least like where it goes because the central story in this one's really good.
Yes. However, this also starts my least favorite subplot of all time, where for
Oh,
no reason Willow and Xander decide they're now attracted to each other.
yeah.
And behind the scene, I don't know the real reason, but to me, and I don't think this is a spoiler because it's all pretty much played out in the first half. It just felt like they needed to get Cordelia and Xander to break up and didn't know how to do it. So we get this nonsense.
Yeah.
It comes out of nowhere. There's no reason for it.
Yeah.
And I think they're both pretty bad people in how they handle this.
Objectively speaking, like they are equally in the wrong for what they're doing because they're both cheating on their partners and it's not cool. At least Willow feels bad about it.
Yes.
At least she's conflicted about it every episode that we're dealing with this. Xander doesn't think he's doing anything wrong.
Which I feel like you could do that if the idea is to further delve into like that's just how he's always seen relationships because that's how he was raised. But we don't get any of that. It's just yeah, I guess the idea is that Xander and Cordelia weren't really in love. They just were horny, which again is also fine. They're in high school. Some high school relationships are just that. But the Xander and Willow thing, it feels like the writers putting them together versus the characters making that choice because it comes out of nowhere. There's no logical build up to it.
No, there's like no natural build up because you could have done something with like they're out hunting vampires together when Buffy was gone during those 3 months, and that's where
Yeah.
you know something started to happen. But yeah, the way it plays, it's just like, oh, you're in a suit and you're in a dress, and let's make out. And
Has this not
again,
been a
you're
problem for the rest of the time that they've known each other? Like,
no, and like you're right that they're equally bad for doing this. It still makes me hate Xander more because of his other character flaws, and I know that I already know that Willow is too good for him by this point, and I can't help but feel like he's taking advantage of her when they're in this situation. Uh, and again, at least she feels bad about it. Like, at
I
least she's
guess
conflicted
I
about
think
it.
my problem with her specifically is we've had the storyline with her, and she should already be over this because she chose Oz. And I understand that feelings don't just magically go away. They haven't been mentioned in like a season and a half.
And okay, and throw me a bone here. That is also where it feels like Xander's taking advantage of her, just because it has long been established her crush on him and that she
Yes.
was obsessed with him and had to get over it. Whereas with him, this just feels so out of nowhere. Like, oh, I'm attracted to you now. Let's make out. And
I think my only problem with saying that is I don't think he's ever made aware of it because she won't tell him. Buffy figures it out, but he
yeah,
doesn't know.
fair. Felt like that came up somewhere in two.
I don't. I
But
mean,
I don't
maybe.
know.
Well, there is that weird ice cream scene in the season 2 premiere, but then like it's never really brought up again. But no, as far as I'm aware, the only person that knows is Buffy.
Okay. And like I said, Xander, I understand that he does when he fucks up. Like this is at least consistent with his character that when he fucks up, he just kind of doubles down, and he's obviously projecting and not being completely honest when he is making excuses. But he still won't apologize. Like he never apologizes to Cordelia and says, "Hey, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that." Like, am I supposed to like this guy?
Does so we're jumping ahead a little bit, but does isn't that what he goes to the hospital for is to apologize and she won't hear him out?
I mean, at the very least, he doesn't lead with it.
Yeah.
He just shows up with flowers and is like, "Hey, Cordelia," and then she's like, rightfully so, like, "Get the fuck out! I don't want to see you." Um, but it feel it's just it's a very Xander. If that is him apologizing it, he's doing it in a very Xander way where he's not leading with that.
Yeah.
Like he'd rather talk about anything else.
So, but anyway, with Homecoming, and it's impressive how this subplot leads into a bunch of stuff I don't like. So, the the thing with this episode is that Buffy and Cordelia aren't getting along because Cordelia wants to be
Hmm.
Homecoming Queen, and Buffy. This is the Buffy wants to have a normal life episode. So she decides to run for Homecoming Queen, and because Willow and Xander feel guilty, they decide to work with Cordelia instead of Buffy. Xander, I get that's your girlfriend, that should come close. Willow is only doing it because that scene exists and she feels guilty and it's dumb. And then
Everybody hates
I
Buffy.
was like, yeah, I go with Willow. Like, I don't know. What do you want from
Yeah.
me?
No, like this is an episode on paper I shouldn't like, but when we get to the meat of it, like the stuff with Cordelia and Buffy's so good
Yeah.
that I end up really
It's
liking it.
just clunky how we get there, but I like them. They end up in the same limo going to
Yeah.
Homecoming
Well,
together.
and like I said, in the first half of this episode, I did feel like we were regressing Cordelia a little bit. Like when she says stuff like, "Well, unlike you, Buffy, I have 2 parents." Like that, I feel like Cordelia's past petty shit like that. Like that was uncool.
Yeah, that
I We're in season 3.
that
It's especially when just a few episodes ago she's the one who stands up for Buffy. Kind of comes out of nowhere.
but she's always been consistently blunt, whether it's hurtful or not.
I don't know,
Yeah, I don't know.
but
I don't love that
like
line, but I never had that thought until just now. It's interesting.
like I said, at least we go somewhere with it. Like at least they
Yeah.
have an arc and they resolve their shit at the end of the episode. So that I like and appreciate.
But yeah, here we get the what do they call it? Slayer Fest.
Yeah,
That's fun.
it is fun.
Hayden's in this episode. We get Hayden as a vampire bounty hunter.
Ooh.
So how do you feel about Mr. Trick? Because he's kind of a reoccurring character at this point.
He's fun. He's fun.
He's fun.
I like that actor.
And then we
And
meet
then
the mayor. Oh, what were you gonna say?
way too, who's very goofy. Uh, he's no, but like the central misunderstanding with Cordelia being there instead of Faith, and everybody thinking that Cordelia is the other Slayer. That whole setup is great.
Yes. But yeah, we meet the mayor. I love the mayor. He's not afraid to be a little goofy, but I think he's got a real presence to him. Although I think you only get just like the one scene at the end with him, right?
Yeah, and we haven't talked about the principal at all.
The greatest character in fiction. Oh,
he has a
we need to talk
line.
about the principal because I don't. I love Snyder. I adhere to one day hate something as much as he hates these teenagers. The fact that he is employed after how he talks to Joyce in episode 3, I think, is insane.
He has too many lines about like feeling tingly or expelling teenagers. I'm like,
yeah, don't do that.
Don't say that.
How do you feel about Snyder so far up to episode 5?
He's a fun villain. We're just doubling down on him being awful. I'm still like I am unclear. It is lost on me like how much he's in the know of what's going on. Because as far as I can tell, he's just in cahoots with the mayor and just answers to whatever the mayor says and wants, and is cool with that.
Yeah, that's been kind of my understanding. I think he knows a little more than he lets on, especially because we'll talk about the next episode, Band Candy. That kind of hints that he knows at least some of the supernatural stuff. But yeah, we're kind of setting stuff up. The unfortunate part with the way they're doing this is I kind of wish Faith was more in this episode because she is important to this season, but she's not in a lot of, I don't want to say filler episodes, but more Scooby Gang related episodes. But at the flip side, when we get there, I think that kind of helps with some of the stuff that Seven is setting up with her kind of being on the outside and then struggling to like let her in. Do you have anything else to say about 5?
No, that's pretty much it, and that does lead us into the next episode, which is Band Candy,
a fan favorite.
That's funny. Like this is by far the goofiest we get this season.
I love this episode. And I don't think this is filler because it's a mayor plot.
Sure.
No, this episode is popular up to the point when the Boom comics were doing their multiverse shit. The comics Buffy visits a universe going through this episode. Yeah. No, this is a fan favorite. I love this episode. So for anybody who doesn't know, this is a episode where Buffy is tasked with selling chocolate bars. The whole school is selling chocolate bars. Apparently this is something people did at one point. I don't ever remember doing this in school, but
I did. Yeah.
The candy regresses you to teenagehood, I guess.
It is a ridiculous circuitous scheme just to get the adults out of the picture so they could kidnap some babies
and feed it to Laconis,
the giant CGI snake.
Which, kudos for them for at least being able to like imply shit like that. I feel like not a lot of shows could get away with like, oh, babies are in danger. But I would argue this is also a very important episode for Buffy, because this is where the Buffy running away kind of comes back, where she wants to drive and Joyce is hesitant, saying she's irresponsible because she ran away, which, crucify me, I think Joyce wasn't entirely unreasonable here. You just came back and now you want the privilege to drive.
That's fair.
But then the shoe is reversed when Buffy becomes the adult and Joyce becomes a teenager along with Giles. I love teenage Giles. He doesn't give a shit.
Teenage Giles is fun. And then when he and Joyce start hooking up, I'm like, stop! I don't like it. It's icky. It's bad.
It's bad. It's all bad. Um, no, I think this episode's a lot of fun. I love getting to see Ethan Rayne come back. I think this might be his last appearance. I'm not sure.
No.
Um, but yeah, this is kind of setting Buffy up with against the mayor and like stopping this ritual for this demon. I just love the idea that this is something that recreationally happens in Sunnydale. They sacrifice babies to demons. Um, but a lot of the fun is just getting to see like Joyce and Giles and Snyder like regress in age. Um,
No, in because that guy, character actor, he's in Star Trek.
mhm.
It's stuff. It's just fun to see him go ham and give a very different performance.
My
And
favorite
that's
bit though is when Xander's like, "I've eaten a bunch of this stuff. Why am I no different?" Oh,
that's a good line. That's a good Xander line. And with the principal, this is where it was like, okay, so he doesn't know about the chocolate plot, or else he wouldn't be eating it.
mhm.
So this is where it's like, okay, he's clearly not in the know on everything.
Yeah. But no, so you said episode is kind of goofy. Did you end up like liking this
Well,
one or
it's fine. Like it's a very silly episode, but there's good stuff in it.
okay?
I,
No,
I
this
wouldn't
is
say
the
it's one
kind
of
of
my
silly
favorites of the season.
that I like in Buffy, where like there's real stakes here, but the
For sure.
surrounding oh just wait. So I will tell you this because it's not an important episode. Season 4 has a alcohol PSA episode where beer
Oh
turns
no.
people into cavemen. Get ready for that.
Yay.
But no, I think this is a good episode, and if anything, doubles down on the fact that the mayor is a villain this season.
Yeah.
One with a lot of presence. But then we get to episode 7, which again continues the tradition of episode 7s being both good and important. I think this
Oh.
episode's quite good. Well, so because we're 3 seasons in, season 1 is the Angel episode. Season 2 is Lie to Me. And now we're at this. So I'm gonna let you do a lot of talking on this one because this is the first time we meet like another Watcher.
Mhm.
How did you feel about that? And did you see it coming with like what she's doing? And
I did call it that. I was like, oh, she's gonna be the bad guy. I didn't trust her. And yeah, this is the episode where everybody finds out that Angel's alive, and they all. And I knew this was coming, but of course they all treat Buffy like shit for not telling them.
I can forgive them for being upset that she didn't tell them because I think they did deserve to know.
Yeah.
My problem, and this will continue on into I think episode 10, is people who I feel like should be more emotionally mature regress when it comes to Angel. I get that he did bad stuff to all of them. I had this especially with Giles in episode 10.
Yeah.
Giles should be old enough to be able to understand that Angel and Angelus are two separate people.
That's what I was talking about earlier. It's like they all understand the context of what's going on. And they're acting like and treating. And again, this is really weird coming off of this end of season 2 when they were trying to save Angel, when they were trying to restore his soul. Now they're all treating Buffy like, well, you fell in love with the monster. We told you so.
Mm,
He's bad. We don't like him. Uh, that stuff's all weird to me.
yeah.
And
And I can, to a certain degree, understand Giles because I think he more than almost anybody except Buffy lost a lot in that
yeah,
season. But the
and
Giles you've established, I feel like should be emotionally enough mature to go, yes, he did it, but it wasn't him.
yeah. At the very least, I want to see Giles have a conversation with somebody about that. Like, yes, I know it was an Angel. I just can't help but feel this way because I'm
I feel
human.
like he
Like,
should have had that conversation when Angel goes to visit him in 10.
yeah,
But we'll
yeah.
get there.
But and again, props to them though. Season 2, when Angel is Angelus, like that he actually does something of consequence. Like he
Yeah.
does kill people that matter, and So I appreciate that we haven't just forgotten about that, but at the same time, it's just doubling down on how everybody hates Buffy this whole season.
This might be the episode that I think Xander annoys me the most.
But then, oh, are you still here?
Hello?
Hello? Did you lose me? Are we good? Are we still
Hello?
live?
Can you hear me?
Hi,
Yeah, I don't
hello.
know what happened there.
Yeah, on my end, you froze for a minute, and I was like, "Oh, am I gone?"
Oh.
What?
But I was just saying, I think this episode might have my personal least favorite Xander moment of the season so far.
Mm-hmm.
Where he purposefully misleads Faith about who Angel is to get her to kill him.
Yep. He
And
he.
again, nobody calls him out on it.
Yeah. He never
Buffy
apologizes
is
for it.
mildly annoyed for 3 seconds and then runs off to save them.
Yeah. It's this might be the darkest thing Xander's ever done. Where
I still think
he
it's the end of season 2 when he doesn't tell her.
sure, yeah, it's a tie, but he uses this as an opportunity to get Angel out of the way. It's just like Xander is cheating on his girlfriend with someone else, and is also still petty about Angel and wants him killed.
And I almost could see this working if it's a he's trying to do what he thinks is for the greater good. The problem is it
Yeah,
never comes off that way. It comes off that he's
yeah.
still jealous.
That's always how it comes off.
Yeah. And Faith gets caught in the middle, and we get a really cool Slayer versus Slayer fight. I think it's really well
Yeah,
done. That's something we should talk about. Is I think the action in this season continues to improve by quite a bit.
yeah. Choreography is decent, and yeah, we never really, and this is a good thing, like that we never really get to hash out with Faith like what happened with Angel, and because Faith is just like, well, yeah, he's a vampire. I'm gonna kill him. Like
Yeah,
that's what we do.
nobody sits her down
Like
to explain like he's not that kind of vampire.
right.
Uh,
So wacky
but
shenanigans
on
ensue.
the flip side of that, we have Gwendolyn Post, who might be the snobbiest British person to ever exist. Um, do you think they should have made her more likable to make the twist more unpredictable, or is it just, well, yeah, she's been a bitch the entire time. Of course, she's the bad guy.
It's certainly so. We find out that what she got kicked out of the Watchers recently for like
Yes,
going rogue, but what's they all suck, and this season will double down on that. That all the other
the
Watchers, like
so to
they
the
all
show's
suck.
credit, they are consistent with that. The Watchers Council is a consistent thorn in Buffy's side. And I think something that's interesting about this universe is that the creators know that the Vampire Slayer system is dumb, and that the people who uphold it are dumb, and it is a constant thorn in Buffy's side from actually getting to do the right thing.
Mm.
But anyway, what were you saying?
But yeah, I mean, Xander's is insufferable as always. And then the one human moment you get is when he finds Giles knocked out. He's like, ah, shit, this wasn't Angel. But of course it's too late. Like Faith is already dead set on killing Angel. So like that's the most humanity you get from Xander. Like I may have fucked up, but
Huh.
and he doesn't apologize for it.
Okay, this just kind of blew my mind. Gwendolyn Post is the doctor from The World Is Not Enough that Bond
Oh,
convinces to give him a clear
oh,
medical. Yes.
oh. Is that what we're calling it now?
Well, you know,
Yeah. No, that's just funny because you just watched that movie.
yeah.
So yeah, I didn't recognize her from that. It's funny.
But she's here after the Infinity Gauntlet, or you know, and she manages, I think, to really believably kind of put a wedge between Buffy and Faith, where you can tell like Faith doesn't know she can trust Buffy and their
Right.
friends, and I think that's the key thing to take away from this episode is now there's that wedge, and Buffy tries.
Hmm.
That is one thing. The show struggles with some of the human drama from them. I buy everything that Buffy and Faith are going through, which I think is the key because obviously Faith is a big part this season. How do you feel about their kind of dynamic and how that is evolving over time?
Yeah, they're good. Like I said, I like Faith. We just haven't seen a lot of her yet, so I don't have like a strong opinion on her yet. But yeah, all that stuff is fine. Uh, but then next episode is, I believe, the Spike episode. Uh,
Yes.
Lover's Walk, which I don't know how the fans think of this episode, but I think this is one of my favorites.
I don't know actually. I'm of two minds because I do like that this is how we get back to a place where Buffy can admit that she's still in love with Angel. Because obviously I'm a big fan of their dynamic on screen, and I think they have the best chemistry. This my problem more so is this kind of starts the Spike is just a comedic loser thing that will kind of stick for the rest of the show. And I've never loved that, but I also am not a big Spike fan outside of like him as just a villain in season 2. So I find this to be a mixed bag. There's stuff I like, although this is the payoff for that storyline that we talked about earlier, which is the worst thing in it. So you mean to tell me that these two cannot be left alone in a room 5 minutes without making out with each other and getting caught by Oz and Cordelia, and then Cordelia conveniently falls through a hole in the floor?
Yeah, yeah. And this is part of what I'm talking about when Xander like doubles down, like when he knows he's in the wrong, is when he says like, "Well, it's not our fault they walked in on us kissing like for the last time we were ever gonna kiss." It's like that's bullshit.
To be fair, that line is clearly delivered as like he's not being serious about that.
Yeah,
Like I don't think he actually believes that.
but yeah, and I feel really bad for Oz.
Yes.
No, for both Oz and Cordelia, I'm like, yeah, you guys deserve better.
Cordelia does. I don't think Oz. I think Oz deserves Willow.
No, I just mean at this point in time, Oz deserves better.
Okay, fair. Yeah. But yeah, I like Spike kind of wanting to get Drusilla back.
Well, and this, so yeah, I mean, obviously, I haven't seen Spike in. I'm just taking this episode on it, so I just think James Marsders is having a lot of fun here.
Yes.
And that scene where he wakes up, where like his hand catches on fire when the sun comes up, and he has to like run and dive in his car. That was cool. That reminded me of. I would have to think Whedon would have seen this by now, like Near Dark, when the vampires like they have like the taped up cars and blacked out the windows and everything. We've seen that with Spike before, and how he drives around during the day. Yeah, that scene where he wakes up is really really funny. And this episode's also important because this is the first one where we talked about Willow like becoming a witch. This is the first one where that's really in the forefront.
Yes.
Like that's kind of a major focus of this episode.
Well, and
her scenes with Spike I liked.
One thing I liked in this episode, editing wise, is Cordelia's like, who in their right mind would want to come to Sunnydale? And then it like cuts to Spike like crashing through the town sign again and into Sunnydale.
Yeah,
that's a fun edit.
That's a good shot.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
And at least at this point in time, like we're still showing Spike kill people, so we're not like he's still not a good guy
Yes.
at this point in time.
But I like that speech that he has about like how Buffy and Angel will never be able to be friends or just friends. And I think there is a truth to that. Like we've kind of established that these two are on a different level. Like you can't they can't accept just settling for being friends, which obviously is tying into Angel going off on his own.
Well, and that's like the big conundrum is obviously Angel and Buffy can't sleep together again because then this whole mess is going to start all over. And it's at least heavily implied, like when they find out that Buffy's like lying about Angel and knows he's alive, like it feels like everyone else in the Scooby gang, like what they're worried about is Buffy sleeping with him. again, and I don't know. I feel like they should trust her a little more than they give her credit
I,
for.
I feel like that would work if they approach it the way Spike does, where it's like, it's not that we don't trust you, it's just we know how strong your feelings were for him. You're never going to be able to settle for just that, but instead they kind of just attack her.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is the one voice of reason in that scene. Sorry to go back to episode 7 for a second. Is Willow, who is trying to get everybody to talk about it in a nice, calm, polite manner, and everybody just ignores her. And Xander attacks because it's Xander.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of, when you feel the way that you do feel about each other, you won't be able to just settle for friends. And kind of, again, paralleling that relationship with Spike and Drusilla, which we got a lot of it in season 2, I think. But kind of a capstone off for that.
I don't know if I should ask this or not, but like, do we see her again?
Who, Drusilla?
Because yeah.
I don't remember if she shows up in Buffy. She will show up in Angel, at least.
Okay, because that was like the only thing that was weird. That was like, like, was that actress just not available? Did she not want to come back? I don't know. It just stood out to me.
Yeah, if she does, it might be in season 5. I don't remember now. That's I'll look forward to remembering. But yeah, this is a pretty good episode. Do you have anything else you want to cover on this one?
No, I think that's it. And then next we get The Wish.
I'm a big fan of this episode. Just starting off the bat, how did you feel about this one?
I like this one a lot. This is one of my favorites of the season. I think this is filler done well, because this is like one of the most skippable. This is probably the most skippable episode this season, when that's kind of like the entire point, is how little consequence there is with the wrap up. But just for the novelty of that other reality and the conceit, everything with Cordelia, I thought worked. I just thought this was a lot of fun.
So,
with how it plays with the characters.
Do you consider a character thing spoilers, like if a character is going to be important?
No, that's fine.
You can't skip this because Anya is important.
Okay.
I love Anya, but you'll meet her later. Yeah,
that's right.
I like this episode as kind of a finally Cordelia getting consequences for her rash behavior, because she just kind of decides that this is all Buffy's fault.
Yeah, and I don't think it throws her under the bus too hard. Like, obviously, it's something like she's kind of tricked into saying. Like, she doesn't like actually seek out a witch to be like, "Hey, I want to wish that Buffy never showed up here."
Yeah,
and
no,
consequences to be damned. It's just something she says.
So
yeah.
I like the setup for it where she leaves. Is it this episode where we see that she's kind of now she's being bullied by Harmony and all them?
Yeah, she can't fall back into her old friend group.
So she's kind of
really belong anywhere.
And yeah, in the middle, and then Buffy reaches out to kind of say, "Hey, I know how it is, but we're still friends." And then a vampire attacks, because vampires have the most dramatic timing in the world in the show. And Cordelia somehow gets knocked into a pile of trash, and so she's hurt and angry, and just blurts out, "I wish Buffy never came to Sunnydale."
Never came here. Yeah. And it's a very human, short-sighted thing to say, like, oh, all these bad things started happening to me when Buffy showed up. Yes. Before that, everything is fine, without giving much thought in inner... without really looking inward on how much she's improved as a person, over the last few seasons and what she's learned. Like, she's literally down in the dumps and is like, fuck this. Yeah. And you get it. I do call bullshit. Like, she was impaled, and now she's fine. So she got out of the hospital pretty quickly, I think, for that injury. But
the problem is, I don't know how much time happens between episodes. So this is one of those episodes that became a genre staple after this. The what if the main character never came to because
Yeah.
I think like Smallville does
Well,
this.
yeah, it's a Wonderful
Yeah,
Life. Like
I think
most
this is
TV
the
shows
best
like this
version
do
of
that.
this that I've seen personally. And what I find interesting about this is Cordelia becomes unimportant like immediately, and just they
Yes.
kill her.
I think that's the most fun subversion of the formula, because usually when you do this, she would be your protagonist, so would have to learn a lesson and go, "Oh God, I fucked up. I got to fix everything," which she kind of does, but then she's killed very quickly, and all the other characters have to, you know, on faith, pun intended, kind of figure out what's going on and solve everything. But like that all played for me. Like that all worked. It was just funny
Well, and what
how
I like
quickly she's
about it
taken out.
too is their sense of continuity. If Buffy never comes to Sunnydale, then she never dies, so Kendra never becomes activated. She never dies,
Yeah.
so there's no faith. It's
Mhm.
weird that apparently Giles was just camped out in Sunnydale waiting for a Slayer, whether Buffy showed up or not. But
we, we don't get in the minutia too much with that, but like Oz is part of his crew. That's fun. We get
I
Xander and Willow as
love,
vampires.
I love the like post-apocalyptic Sunnydale. Like
Yes.
the humans don't try to fight it other than just the group. They're like, yeah, we just don't go out after dark.
Getting the master back is really fun.
It's
He's
his
used
best
well in this
appearance.
episode. It is.
uh I feel so bad for Angel, like seeing him just broken like that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is also the Everybody Hates Angel season. Like he's had a go of it.
Well, that's why he had to go do his own show, because nobody in the show likes him.
It's true.
Um I like seeing like a more war hardened Buffy. Like she never got the. It really shows that despite my problems with Xander, she needs those two in her life, or this is who she would
Mhm.
become.
Yeah.
And I always appreciate stuff like that. And it's kind of a sad ending. Like Giles undoes everything, but after I think Angel and Buffy both die, like
Yeah, everybody dies.
everybody dies. That's the lesson. Buffy never comes to Sunnydale. Everybody dies. I love Vampire Willow. Bored now.
Yeah, and then the resolution is fun when we get back to present day and everything's fixed.
Yeah, they smashed Anya's necklace.
Hit it.
No, I like this episode quite a bit. I'm glad you liked it because I wasn't sure.
Yeah, this might be my favorite of the season so far.
Oh wow, okay.
It's really fun.
I don't know what my favorite is, but we are gonna do, I think, favorite and least favorite of this half. But we're gonna talk about one of my favorites next, which is Amends, which sets up a lot. So
Hmm.
this is kind of an Angel and Buffy episode, and this we get to see Jenny Calendar again. Uh,
Yeah.
we're happy to see it. Well, it's not really her, but um, so this introduces the first evil, which will be important later. I
Okay.
I think. How did you feel about the first evil? Because I feel like that's an idea that works on paper, but in execution on a TV show, having a villain just be a vague force doesn't work that well.
Yeah, and I mean they talk about it where it's like, well, this is somebody you can't punch.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't a physical threat, but I don't know. There's probably spells and other bullshit you could
I what I like
figure out.
about this episode is just Angel delving into Angel's psyche and really pushing him towards, I'm gonna fight. I'm going to make up for what I've done wrong. Because he was there, but I feel like kind of what happened at the end of two reset him and kind of broke something in
Mhm.
him. Because he's been
Yeah.
really passive in this first half. Like,
I think the big thing I don't know how to feel about this episode, and we talked about this last season, is I do feel like I'm. The problem is you always have Xander, at least up to this point, who is the most like, yes, kill Angel, because I'm a jealous petty asshole. Let's kill Angel. But putting that aside, I do feel like I'm kind of the rational person in the room who's like, yeah, isn't it better for everybody if he dies? Like,
don't
shouldn't he
say
be at
that,
rest? Yeah, like it.
Robert. Are we gonna have to fight? That is my favorite character in the show. Fuck you.
It, it does feel like, look, He's a fan favorite. We gotta justify keeping him around. We're gonna give him his own spin-off. And I am like, for the sake of this character's soul and everyone else around him, it's probably better for him to just die and be put to rest.
But shouldn't he have the chance to redeem himself?
I think the episode could have made a stronger argument for what that means, and maybe we'll get that later. Because I get why Buffy doesn't want to kill him, because she loves him and he wants him alive. But I feel like for everyone else's sake, I think he gotta go. Like, I think this is
No.
fine. Because, yeah, like, you get to the end of the episode, and, this is the big Christmas episode, and Buffy has to, pour her heart out and say why she needs him alive and why he needs to stick around. But I am more on his side in that debate where I'm like, yeah, it's probably better for everybody if he just dies. And
It is
laid to rest.
melodramatic, but I do love that last conversation where he's like, because I want to take comfort in you, and I know it'll cost me my soul.
Yeah, that's a good line.
I think the problem, Robert, is that you're applying too much of your own logic. Because he specifically says it's not the beast in me that needs killing, it's the man. Mm-hmm. That is the wrong way to look at it.
Sure.
Because if you kill the man, then you're left with Angelus. And we all saw how that turned out.
Yeah.
And so the thing is with redemption is it's fighting, and in the case of Buffy, it is fighting on the good side to help put down evil. She wants what his redemption would mean at this point is fighting against the vampires and the demons, everything threatening to overwhelm Earth.
That's fair. Maybe I'd like it better on a rewatch. I think I just would have liked that more.
And I think the problem,
and again, maybe we'll get that later, because on paper I get what you're saying, like that the lesson is no, don't quit. That's the easy way out. Like, there is good you can do to make up for the bad you've done. Like, on paper, I agree with all that. I just don't feel like that's really at the forefront of this episode. I feel like the main focus is just, Buffy just loves him and doesn't want him to die.
Well, here, I'm going to fight you on this a little bit, Robert. The problem is, he doesn't come to this conclusion naturally that he needs to die. This is something that is forced onto him through psychological torture by the first. Fair. So if he were to,
been through a lot of shit.
He has been through a lot of shit. But if he were to do that, then A, he would be hurting everyone around him. Well, Buffy.
Buffy.
And B, doing exactly what the first evil wants. And I guarantee you, if the first evil wants it, there's a reason for it.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm also on this just because this discussion was also in season 2. Of him being like, yeah, I should probably just die. But he doesn't, and they say it in this episode that he just doesn't have it in him to take his own life. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, and that's all fair. And again, maybe we'll get that later.
Mm-hmm. I am a little biased because of his show, and he's my favorite character.
Yeah. I also just can't help but look at it from a more cynical perspective of, yeah, he's a fan favorite character, and we gotta justify keeping him around. I do feel like that's to some degree a factor.
Well, of course, but I mean that's gonna be a problem with the show much later. I think it's more organic here, where it's like he was brought back and he doesn't know why. And this thing is tormenting him.
Yeah, but also, and when Buffy killed him at the end of season 2, I mean, he wasn't laid to rest. He was in hell. And it's
that's why I think he needed to come back. I myself, because of the way that ends with him getting his soul back at the very end, I don't think it would have been satisfying if we just left it there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I also get where he's coming from, where just letting the sun take him or getting staked, it's like, yeah, that would finally put him to rest.
Yeah, and I think if he had came to that conclusion on his own, it would play better. But he's being manipulated.
That's fair.
But this is where he goes to Giles for help, and this is where I question Giles, because sometimes Giles will be the wise old sage-like character who always who always counsels like thinking it through and shades of gray. But the moment that it's Angel, because something bad happened to him, he turns into Angel bad. I don't trust you, and that
Yeah,
scene's
which
really awkward.
yeah, and again, it's just weird because it's like, yeah, he understands the context.
Yeah.
Like he
Well, and especially because he of all people should know what it's like to have a past that you're not proud of,
yeah,
considering all the Ripper stuff that we at this point know he did.
that's true. Yeah, I feel like if you're gonna do this storyline with Giles, you need another character to call him out on that.
Yep.
But instead, this is the everybody hates Buffy season, where everyone's always angry at her.
Well, you're not wrong. But no, and like I said, I love that final talk with them. It's melodramatic, but that's the kind of melodrama I like. I don't know. It's that kind of show.
Question: was there something I missed? Is there like a magical explanation for the snow at the end, or does that just happen? I don't remember.
So, there's something because there's a line of dialogue we're talking about how it's weird that it hasn't been snowing. Although now that I think about it, that's also California.
Yeah, it's California. It doesn't snow that much on Christmas.
Hold on. We must research this.
I think that would have been better if you had like Willow casting a spell or something. Give Willow just an extra witch thing to do.
Okay, so Google AI just says it is a miraculous act of divine intervention designed to save Angel.
Okay.
So I will give them slight spoilers for lore. They do play later with there are godlike beings that are manipulating things, so maybe that's true. I don't know. But yeah, just overall a really good episode. And this one was written and directed by Joss Whedon, and I think you can tell when it's a Whedon episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so how did you feel about the Angel flashbacks when you got to see him as Liam?
He's doing that accent again.
That is a beautiful accent. But I think there's an interesting parallel to be made with Spike and Angel. We haven't seen Spike's backstory yet, so I won't tell you. But I think there's something interesting about as a human, he was just a glutton, like food, drink, sex, and that kind of transferred over into who Angelus is, who is a glutton, but for misery and torture and all of that.
Yeah, we've talked about this directly, but vampires in this universe are not that dissimilar to Deadites, where it is a demon in your body when you become a vampire, but they have your memories and some of your personality.
Yes. So Angel says, I think it's in Lie to Me, the demon gets your body, but it doesn't get your soul. And the way it's treated, at least as of now, is that your soul goes on whatever, and a demon replaces it with your memories, your personality, but it's not you.
Yeah, that was the whole conundrum with like the Vampire Club vampire fans episodes, is these kids not realizing that like, no, you're dead.
You are dead. Like, you are all dead.
You're all dead. It's not going to be you having fun doing vampire stuff. Like, this isn't the same thing. I don't have a specific example of this, but I guess it's like, this isn't a great analogy, but it's why something like The Substance wouldn't be appealing to me, where it's like, well, we can create like a younger version of you to go on, and it's like, okay, but that's a copy. That's not me, so I don't care.
For a second there, I thought you meant the movie. I was like, I thought you liked that movie.
Oh no, no, I do, and the movie's great. I'm just saying, as a concept, it's not something that would tempt me, or just in general, like cloning, like the how whenever we theorize about like cloning to achieve immortality, that's not appealing to me on a personal level, just because I'm like, no, that's a copy of me. I'm still gonna die.
What I think is the brilliance with that episode, kind of talking about the human spirit, is the main guy that wants to be a vampire knows that, but he's dead either way.
Yes,
and in his mind,
that was a good reveal.
In his mind, at least, like his body is still around.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that
and
was a good
we'll
point.
get more Angel and Spike flashbacks later on, but I really appreciate how much thought and time is put into their morality, not only as a human, but what a demon inside that person would be.
Mhm.
Because we talked about this a little bit in season 2, but when they have the judge, your favorite character, the big blue guy, he references the stink of humanity on Spike and Drusilla because they feel love for each other. He does not feel any humanity from Angelus,
Yeah.
and it's only when he gets his soul back that he feels remorse, which kind of changes him as a person. Because I do appreciate his line here of like, I was young, I didn't have a chance to grow and change,
Mhm.
which I think is the tragedy of Angel, is because he was so young when he died, which is a little awkward because obviously David Boreanaz will continue to age,
Yeah.
even though he's a vampire.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you also already have that with Spike, where like James Marsden's like he looks really young in season 2, like
yes,
youngest I've ever seen that actor. And here he's already like you can tell like his face is filling out, like he already looks older. But it's fine. It's
yeah,
fine.
it's just one of those things you have to live with. But I find I really like the way that this take on vampires really allows you to explore certain parts of the human condition and
Mhm.
humanity and who we are. And David Boreanaz is so good in this episode in both
He's great.
roles. The accent is bad, but honestly, I find it charming. Like, I don't know. Does that actually bother you, or is that just part of the charm for
Oh,
you?
yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Uh, but next we get Gingerbread, a Joyce episode that I'm sure you can't wait to talk about. I think you did your mic go out? Hold on. I mean, I can hear you, but it sounds like you're speaking out of a different mic. We got Hayden in the live chat, by the way. He just says Buffy is short for Buffington. That's true.
It's true. All of what you just said is true.
Okay, now I hear you.
Now I'm back. Um, so on the one, I don't know how I feel about this episode. On the one hand, I like the idea of Joyce seeing the darker side of slaying. However, I think the initial setup is really forced, where all of a sudden deciding she's going to come out and witness a Buffy slaying session. I feel
I
like that
can
should have
forgive
come up.
that. Just
I feel like
I
that
can
should have
forgive
come
that.
up
Just
earlier than this, because I do like that
sure.
idea. I I think this episode just goes too big, and the ultimate reveal is not very satisfying.
I mean, okay. So this is another. There's a formula we did a lot in season 1, where we're doing a familiar premise, but there's a flip. There's a twist with it. Where like with the witch episode in season 1, oh, the girl's not the bad guy, her mom's the actual bad guy. And in this episode, we're doing Hansel and Gretel, but the kids are evil, and they're behind all of this, and that stuff's fun. Um, I actually like what we're doing with Joyce in this one in theory. The problem is because it goes so big, it becomes another like I mean, we just did this with the candy like 3 episodes ago, where we do an episode where all the adults are like possessed or mind controlled or not themselves, and we've already done this a lot in this show, and it's something to just hand wave at the end and go, oh yeah, they forgot. Or,
Yeah, Joyce tries to
uh,
murder Buffy.
yeah. And so I actually like what this episode is doing with Joyce in the first half, but then it ultimately feels like it doesn't matter when it is just oh, she's just a possessed
Yeah,
plot.
that's why I have
Like,
mixed feelings. I like what they're saying with censorship, like they have people searching lockers, and I like that conversation that Buffy has with Joyce of like,
mhm,
you are actively harming what I do by
yeah.
hiding these things from me. I no longer have access to the tools. But this kind of brings into where I question Giles. Why do you have all this at the library? At a public school library?
Yeah.
Why isn't this at
It's
your home? But yeah, once you figure out the twist with its evil Hansel and Gretel, I think it just becomes an episode.
I think there's fun stuff in it. I mean, I really like the scene early on when Joyce is like really impacted, by the deaths of these children and wants to do something about it and make change in the town. When they have like that big town hall meeting and she gives that speech and starts name dropping like slayers and monsters, that look on Giles and Buffy's face where they're like, "Oh shit, what is she doing?" That part's great.
Yeah,
They're like,
I
"Oh no."
this episode is also notable. We get to meet Willow's mom, and she's a shitty
Yeah,
parent.
unsurprisingly. And that one I was like, have we met her before?
My favorite is
So
when
no.
she's like, "Nice haircut," and Willow's like, "Yeah, it was nice
Three
like
months ago.
3 months ago."
Yeah. So, but like, really like the idea of Joyce wanting to get involved with the vampire slaying and do something for the town, and then goes about it the wrong way and makes everything worse. Like, I really like that story, and I think that's a story worth telling. It just doesn't really matter by the end when it's just a
It
possession
should have been a more
plot again.
personal story. Like she keeps trying
Yeah,
to help, but ends up getting in the way.
it makes like saying like, yeah, that's I'm speaking up for the town. People are disappearing and dying, and people are talking about this, and then Buffy having to confront her and be like, no, you're making things worse for us.
Yeah.
Like you're
So
making our
I
job
like
harder.
that one scene where Buffy's like, "You're making my job harder," and she's like, "But you don't stop this. You react. You can't preemptively stop this. You react."
Hmm.
But I don't know if that's how she really feels, or if she's already under the control of the Terror Twins.
Exactly. The ending makes you rethink the whole episode where you're like, okay, was that ever actually Joyce, or is she just possessed the entire time?
Yeah,
And not possessed,
mind
control,
control or whatever.
influence, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Overall,
Um,
I don't love this episode.
I think it's fine. Again, there's good ideas in it that just don't really
Yeah,
go anywhere. It is funny how much it escalates, and they're almost burned at the stake.
no, it's insane. Our final episode for the night is one that I liked a lot, but I wasn't sure how you would feel about. And spoilers, I did not get a chance to watch this one. I misjudged my timing, but I know this episode pretty well. This is Helpless. So I want to know how you felt about episode 12, Helpless.
I thought this one was very good. I believe the Christmas one like the actual mid season break. Because I think that closed out December, and then the show
Yes.
came back in
So
January.
Amends episode 10 airs on December 15th of 1998, and then the show comes back on January 12th with Gingerbread. Oh god, what a mid-season premiere.
Yeah. Well, that also just tripped me up. It's just really funny that you have an episode titled Gingerbread right after your Christmas episode. So you'd think they'd be related, but they're not.
Can I just say I don't miss mid-season breaks like that, like having to wait a month for the next episode. I don't miss that.
Yeah, it depends.
But anyway, how did you feel about Helpless? I liked a more morally ambiguous Giles. Like he doesn't agree with this, but it's his job.
Yeah, no, I
I-
think this one's very good.
And again, just showing how fucked the Slayer system is when you think about it.
Yeah, and another one where I'm talking about where I'm like, oh yeah, all the other watchers suck.
Yeah.
Uh, no, I wasn't sure where you were going with Giles earlier, but this is an episode that handles him as a flawed character a bit better than the
Yes.
Angel stuff. And I really like the conflict with him and Buffy, where I think what they're talking about here is like she feels violated, like the
Yes.
trust has been broken, and it's like he crossed a line, like she literally physically violated.
Yeah.
You
No,
know that
the
this
the
was forced
metaphor
upon her,
is not subtle here.
right? Yeah, and it's like how does she come back from this and trust him? But then at the end of the episode, he's fired. I'm curious how long that'll last. I'm sure he'll still be in the show. So I will say very quickly you get the sense that Buffy, like, oh, she's probably gonna forgive him
So
for this sooner rather than later. Just
I
with how
think
this episode wraps up.
something that's interesting is I think that this shows that the Watcher Council has kind of rigged the test. I don't
Yeah.
see how your average Slayer passes this test. Fighting a vampire with their powers
I mean,
gone.
most Slayers in this universe don't seem to last very long and die all the time. This could be a big factor for that.
Well, so there is a cynical read to this. So they say that this is for her 18th birthday. What happens when you turn 18? Become an adult. You're no
Yeah.
longer under the system. They can't control her anymore. But you
Hmm.
kill her, get a new Slayer that's a teenager, and it starts all over again.
That's fucked up.
No, I think the show
Or
is making a thesis out of this system is wrong and corrupt.
yeah, that was another thing we didn't talk about that I didn't love in one of those Angel episodes is where he and then the show tries to backtrack on it and like make a joke out of it, but I think it's too late at that point. But where he has that speech about like how he loved her when he first saw her, and I'm like, I didn't need that. She was like 14.
Again, I couldn't been that long.
Yeah, isn't she a freshman when she like he's talking about like when he first saw her like before like
Yeah,
the-
when
before
she first
yeah,
became a Slayer.
yeah,
Well,
that's when she would have been a freshman
freshmen
because
are
she's a
like early sophomore. Because I think she's already halfway through sophomore in season 1.
Alright, but
But
either way, I didn't need that.
I I'm gonna get canceled on YouTube for this. I feel like with anything in this genre, when it's a romance between a monster and a human, that is just a give me that you can't think about.
Yeah, but in my defense, the show does want you to think about it or expects you to think about it because then they backtrack and make a joke out of it where she's like, "That's kind of creepy," and he's like, "Yeah, that was kind of creepy." So like they try to make a joke out of it, and I'm like, "You
Yeah, I
don't."
wouldn't do that. That's a mistake.
Yeah. Anyway, I was just like, "Oh yeah, we forgot to talk about that." With how it gives you more context about how long he was stalking her before they actually met, and I'm
Well,
like, that's canon now. But yeah, helpless. Giles takes away Buffy's powers as part of this tradition. It's fucked up.
yeah, no, it's messed up. It's funny that apparently a reviewer for the BBC wrote that the Slayer test makes no sense, and I'm like, well, yeah, but if you think about it for more than a minute, I don't think
No,
it's
that's a
supposed
good
to.
theory. Yeah, that's fucked up.
Um,
Also, and I'm not sure where we're going with this, but like another thing that just rubs salt in the wound is that her dad misses her birthday, and it's like, oh, that sucks. So now I'm not sure. Like, okay, so is he gonna be an asshole after this? I don't know if that's actually gonna go anywhere
yeah.
because it's like, oh, her dad missed her birthday. Yeah, that's sucks.
No, it's weird because I think in season because it's in season like from 1 to 2, she goes to see her dad over the,
Yeah,
and then by this episode we've kind of retconned that he's kind of a distant dad, and we pretend that never happened. It's very strange.
yeah.
Um, but and this is another moment I like where Cordelia is that friend for Buffy that kind of helps her through this hard moment. And I like the vampire here. He's like half deranged and addicted to these pills.
Yes, played by Jeff Kober, who I recognize. I recognize his voice, and I was like, "What do I know this guy from?" And he was in a few episodes of The Walking Dead in season 4. He's a brief bad guy in that. He's there's a great episode. It's at the end of season 4, and this is a moment from the comics when Rick has to bite somebody's neck to kill them
Yes.
and rip that. Yeah, that was that guy. That was Jeff Kober.
Okay.
He was really good at that show for the few episodes he was on. So I recognize his voice. I was like, I've seen this guy. So yeah, he is a really fun bad guy. Like a psychotic, a more psychotic vampire.
Yeah.
And then okay, so the way Buffy tricks him with like holy water, oh, that's really good. Did you need the bottle to say holy water on it? Was that going too far?
Uh, I kind of thought that was fun. That was fun, in
No,
like
the whole scene is
a comic
it's
book way.
sure. And yeah, I mean, I guess this is probably the most tolerable Joyce's. I don't offhand remember any like awful moment from her in this one.
No, she's kind of just an innocent bystander in this whole thing.
Yeah. And then, just we do the and to what we were talking about earlier about how Buffy has accepted that like no, this is her purpose and what is she without this? Really fitting that this season we get this episode where that's taken away from her. Now that she's accepted it, and it's that fun superhero subplot thing where we get to see the superhero without the powers, and
mhm.
she is just a very weak
And
teenage
Sarah
girl
Michelle Gellar's
hit shit.
performance in this episode is amazing.
She's really, I think her best scene is when like she has her meltdown with Giles.
Yes.
Uh, it's like, yeah, that was great stuff.
Yeah. No, so because like I've said, there's a couple episodes that I don't really care for. This is I think still the best season, and just it has a lot of ideas that I think are really interesting. And we're gonna start getting into some of that with the back half, but it's funny because you're not a Xander fan. The next episode is his big episode that you'll have to watch, so have fun with that.
Let's see. And like you said, at this point, it almost feels like we're just waiting to get Angel out of this show just so we can stop with the Xander Angel nonsense.
Yeah,
And Buffy's mom, like, I'm gonna assume, hits a point where we just kind of drop a lot of those negative
yeah,
traits from her and she gets more chill. Because I already feel like that's the trajectory we're going with her.
yeah, yeah.
But again, despite my flaws and grievances, I think like this has been the most consistently good season so far.
Correct.
But yeah, still enjoying it.
12 episodes. We talked about Buffy. We talked about Xander. We talked about Willow, Giles, Faith. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about the mayor? He hasn't really been a lot in this first half, but we're kind of
Yeah,
seeding things with him.
yeah. I'm still not clear like entirely what his deal is, but he's fun.
I love that actor. He's just so much fun.
Yeah, and that was so we meet him for the first time this season, but that was definitely set up in two, where the
Yes.
principal's like
Tell the mayor that
very
it's done.
yeah. So we're
Um,
receding this.
but I love just how like quirky he is, but it's never like, oh, this is dumb. It's like, oh, he's kind of weird. Like, there's something off
Yeah, he's a
about
weird
him.
guy.
I like that like assistant. I love that scene with the assistant where he's like, "Did you wash under your fingernails and like behind your, in between your fingers and everything?" It's like, dude, what the fuck? Any predictions for the back half of 12? Any predictions on where characters are going or anything like that?
No, I don't really I got nothing. Again, I'm curious because the first half I think has done a very good job with pacing and feeling more serialized, and so far it's blended like A plots and filler and all that really well. I'm curious if they'll keep that up. I'm curious if there are more great episodes to come. Like I said, I'd say the season 2 finale is still my favorite episode of the show, and I don't know if that's ever going to change.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the season as a whole has just been very solid. So I guess we can talk about just least favorite episode.
Okay, so go
Before
with
we
your
go.
best and worst episode of this first half.
Yeah. Bet best for me is The Wish. I just think that's a really fun, creative episode, top to bottom, and like that is TV formula stuff I like.
Mm-hmm.
That's just executed really well. And Homecoming's another contender for best episode. If only we didn't have the Willow Xander bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that really holds that back from being a great episode. But I really like the Buffy and Cordelia stuff in that one. It's harder for me to pick a worst this season just because it's a lot of just fine episodes. I'd say by default, my least favorite is probably episode 2, Dead Man's Party, just because that's the most everybody hates Buffy and giving her a hard time, and I don't enjoy it. So I would say that was probably certainly my least enjoyed episode of the season.
Okay. So I gotta go Band Candy for my favorite. It's a lot of fun, and that is an episode I think you can watch in isolation. Like just throw that on and watch it. I don't think you need to know like where everybody is at character wise and everything. I gotta give my least favorite to Gingerbread, not because it's the worst episode. It's the one that I don't want to sit through. Because at the end of the day, like we said, it is kind of meaningless because I don't know if anybody learns anything from it.
Yeah. But even if Gingerbread is just filler, I'll give it credit and say like it is still miles better than some of the filler in the first couple seasons. Like
Yes.
just to show how far
It's no hyena episode, but he wasn't
Ah.
here for 1 through 12, so we're gonna let him talk a little bit about that, and that'll be so. Hayden, talk.
No.
Oh, okay.
I will not. Yeah, the first half is really good. The second half is better, I think, but the first half is really good. I know Robert disagrees. I didn't get a chance to listen to your full first one, but Band Candy's the best filler of all time.
I told you,
um,
Band Candy is beloved.
No, what did I say was my other favorite filler of all time? Was I talking about Beer Bad? Was I just
No,
the-
it was something because I was watching.
The hyena episode.
No, it's
No.
the Mind Reader episode,
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
which we'll
yeah,
get
which
to.
we'll get to. Yeah, I have a fun fact about that and the finale that I will bring up. But yeah, the first half is good. I love Faith. She's a great addition. The Xander, Willow, Cordelia stuff makes me want to pull my eyes out with chopsticks. But yeah, the rest of it's good. I I'm not gonna go like episode by episode, but I do dig the first half quite a bit. I'm with John where this is my favorite season of Buffy. And my least favorite, it's probably 7, but 4 is close. So we'll
Oh
see
boy.
how next time goes.
I think 4 has some of the best one-off episodes in the whole show, though.
Yeah. But I think this is this is peak Buffy where they know what they're doing. I don't think there's a really bad episode. The werewolf one in the first half isn't great.
Because I was gonna ask you about this way. I don't love Gingerbread either.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Robert, it's not her fault, but it is like more. Oh my God, Joyce, Jesus!
Yeah.
It's not technically her fault in that one, but you're still like, oh my God.
Real quick, we have a new name in the chat I don't recognize. Broke Boy D6G says Buffy is so great, no spoilers. We appreciate that because this is Robert's first time through the show, and so far we have managed to keep him away from major spoilers as we go through. But yeah, I love Buffy. This is one of my favorite shows. This is probably my favorite live action show, like this and Angel together. I like to differentiate them because I feel like that's fair, but like. Because like if I just went favorite shows, it's like Dragon Ball Z or something. But like for live action, it's this. But yeah, Hayden. I think the first half is almost perfect, except for that werewolf episode is kind of it's whatever. Like it's not great, but it's not. I don't think it's terrible. And then I have a hard time sitting through Gingerbread. It doesn't add anything to the plot. Nobody learns anything.
I have a hard time sitting through 12, but for different reasons.
12 is fucked, but like that's a very important episode.
Yeah.
No, the Gingerbread one I think had real potential where it was like, oh, like it was cool to see Joyce try to help out and then fuck everything up and make things worse. But then it doesn't matter because it's just filler and it's not actually her in control. Like that's the problem with that episode is it just doesn't matter.
It's kind of filler, but you need it because of Amy.
Because of the witch that turns into a rat.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that does come up more. So yeah, that's
But
fair.
I like the idea in a show like this with like these themes and everything doing Satanic Panic, but we didn't. It's not done that well.
So
No.
we'll move on to the what we're actually here to review in a moment. But I wanted to ask you guys, with something like Gingerbread, do you think it's they're pushing against the status quo, but because it's a television show and they already know where they're going with other things, we have to kind of revert back to status quo so that we can tell the story we want to tell?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of episodes that do that as far as like the townspeople are concerned. Because whenever things get too out of hand, it's like, oh shit, now we got to reset this
Yeah.
somehow. But I feel like as far as Joyce is concerned, it's like, oh, there was best potential here for like actual growth or
Yeah.
an interesting arc. So that I think is the real problem with it.
Did you have anything else you wanted to say about the first 12, Hayden?
I don't think so, unless you guys have a question for me, but I don't. I think I'm
Oh,
good.
best and worst episode of the first 12, because I asked Robert that.
I'd have to pull up a list because it's been a couple weeks since I watched the first half. Give me a second. Well, best is Band Candy.
That might
And
also be what I said. I don't remember now.
worst is Beauty and the Beast, or the second Dead Man's Party or Beauty and the Beast. It's
Okay.
best.
Oh, sorry. Go
I'm
ahead.
thinking. Uh, it's either Band Candy for the memes or Amends for an actual episode.
Okay.
For
So
best.
I did want to ask you because Robert and I talked a lot about because you mentioned Dead Man, the Pet Cemetery episode, basically, Dead Man's Party, and obviously that has a lot of that deals with a lot of the fallout of Buffy's choices from the end of season 2. Do you think it? Do you think Xander and Willow are a little out of character with how they kind of berate Buffy like that? Because that
Yeah,
never comes back in the rest of the half of the season.
yeah, I maybe a little bit. Also, I'm an idiot. Best is the Wish. I lied.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was my best,
Yeah.
I think.
It's a great episode. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. Broke Boy says season 3 is peak Buffy. I agree, but
Yes.
later episodes, gosh darn, Joss loves making us cry like girls. There's definitely some episodes that hit you.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna start with episode 13, and I'm actually dying to hear Robert's opinion on this because, as we all know, he loves Xander. Um, this is the Zeppo, which I had probably the best viewing of this that I've had of the 3 or 4 times that I've watched through the whole show. Robert, how did you feel about the Zeppo?
Yeah, this is one I was kind of unsure about at first, just because it's a Xander-centric episode, and he's been one of the more frustrating characters to this point. But it kind of won me over by the end. I actually ended up really liking this one. Like one of the jokes of this episode is we have like it's like there's what would typically be the A plot of Buffy and the rest of the Scooby Gang dealing with these world-ending stakes, and then that all happens in the background,
That was
and
my
we only get
favorite
like
stuff.
snippets of it. Yeah, like that stuff's really fun.
I love how over dramatic it's played, where they're like, "This is the worst thing that's ever happened," and then it's Sanders like,
Yeah,
So
like I was wondering if we were going too far, like with kind of the meta comedy of that. It's almost self parody, like just compared to like the season 2 stakes, and now we're kind of doing that in an episode, but just for laughs. But it mostly landed for me.
So let me ask you, because my big holdup with this episode is that I don't know what Xander gets from this at the end of the day, other than that he plays his own role in the group. But I feel like that wasn't a problem with him until this episode, because Cordelia has that, because him and Cordelia are fighting, and she has
Yeah.
that thing where it's like, well, you're just like the glorified, errand boy or whatever. But that's never really come up before as like something that he's insecure about. So it feels like this episode created a problem and then fixed it, but then we're just back to the
Well,
regular status quo.
yeah, I mean, some of his self esteem issues have always been there, but part of like what gets the ball rolling is this whole like, oh, I need to find a thing. Like, I don't have a thing. I'm like, you're on the swim team. Like, that counts as a thing. And I don't remember, like, is the swim team just gone? Like, do they just not have that anymore? I don't remember
It's
if that's
never been
stated.
mentioned.
You know,
But like, he had a thing.
this is a weird point, but I thought of this while watching it this time. The Zeppo name comes from the Marx Brothers, and that's Cordelia's the one that coins that.
Huh.
Calls him the Zeppo. Do you buy that Cordelia, of all people, knows who the Marx Brothers are?
No, but there's a
That's
couple
hilarious.
things like that in this show because I think Buffy at some point makes a Star Trek reference, and I don't believe she's ever seen an episode of Star Trek.
Like, not only knowing who the Marx Brothers are, but enough to coin the one who's useless, the Zeppo.
I mean,
That's like, that feels like the writers being like movie people and then putting that.
I have that with a lot of the pop culture references in the show.
That does.
But to play devil's advocate, maybe that's something she just heard in school in like a class or something. I don't know a whole lot about the Marx Brothers. Like that was never something that we covered. But I don't know if maybe that's something that they think she would have heard in school somewhere, or maybe it's a movie.
Californians
Yeah,
learning about the
true.
Marx Brothers.
Rogue Boy says that Xander, in their opinion, was one of the best characters. I like Xander. It's just I think Xander takes a while to get to where I like him, and that's typically in the back half of this season, and then once Angel leaves, and we're not mining that for drama anymore.
Well, and we'll get to it when we get to those seasons. I have a different problem with latter half Xander, where they make him give like sage advice, even though it all sucks.
Oh, we'll
Same.
get there.
But John, to your earlier question though about like his self-esteem issues, I part of why this episode took a while to kind of click for me is I felt like this stuff is fine. I just felt like we should have gotten here already. Like we're 2.5 seasons in, and it felt like, oh, we probably should have done this arc with him by now, and not just having him complain about Angel every episode.
Yeah, it definitely does feel a little too late.
If there's any like actual like main critique I have of the episode, it's just placed in a weird spot in the season. Like this, to my point about this being like this should have come earlier. Like it's weird that this is like right between what went down in the last episode with Giles, and then I think the next episode brings in the new guy.
Yes.
Or is he introduced in this one? Okay.
No, it's the next one.
Okay, so you see what I mean? It's just like sandwiched between those two episodes, and that's kind of weird.
Yeah, because I complained about that with season 2, because you have that really great episode where Buffy and Angel are possessed, the fish people episode, and then the 2-part finale.
Okay, one thing I forgot to mention last time is I forget the actor's name, but the guy who's Captain Cold on the Flash show,
yes,
and was in Prison
Oh,
Break.
Wentworth
Miller, who was in the Fish People episode. It's really funny that there's a shot of him in the new intro. So every episode of the show, you see him for a second, and it's really weird.
I don't even remember
you that
him
Fish
being-
People.
Yeah, I think there's a shot of him like screaming as like his skin's peeling off or whatever. That's just part
Well,
of the new intro.
canonically, there's fish people out in the ocean somewhere. Buffy pop culture is so cool. Have you guys seen Farscape? I have not. I don't know if you guys have.
No.
I have not. And also another thing I want to say on this episode, kind of an epiphany I had, and this isn't fair because I'm comparing it to a show that didn't exist yet, but Xander by this episode was starting, particularly with his arc, was starting to remind me of Sokka from Avatar: The Last Airbender, which we were talking about before we went live. And I feel like Sokka's just Xander done better. And a lot of that self-esteem and immaturity, like a lot of those issues with Sokka, we take care of much earlier in that show than we do with Xander. But like there's also the episode later in that show, like when he makes the sword and he wants to find a new thing, and so that reminded me of that. So that was just something I thought of that I
no, I wouldn't disagree. I think they're both of the same archetype, the sarcastic friend who always has that like, where do I fit in this group? Like, what do I contribute?
And And they're the one without like special powers.
Powers.
Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah, I mean, even Willow's a witch now.
Will's a
Yeah.
witch now, so he's the only one. I can see that. I have that with Avatar and a couple characters. Like I've always said that Zuko is what Rowling thinks she's doing with Draco in those later Harry Potter books.
Sure.
It's just done better. But yeah, I think this should have been a season. Put this in season 2 instead of the fucking fish people episode.
Yes.
But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this episode on this viewing. I thought all the melodrama with like this is the worst thing we've ever faced like was hilarious. And I love that moment where Xander finds Angel and Buffy, and he like can't get the words out what's going on, and they're just like staring at him, waiting for him to talk.
Yeah.
I thought Xander was consistently funny in this episode.
Yeah,
that's not
this
always
is-
the case, but
This is some of the better Xander humor. And then like the actual threat he's given to deal with is kind of whatever. Like that's filler.
Yeah.
But there's fun stuff in it. I was surprised to see Michael Cudlitz, who I know from The Walking Dead. He was Abraham in that. He's the corpse Bob. He's the jock guy who's
Yeah.
like really excited all the time. He's fun.
no, the main guy that like rope Xander into this adventure.
Mhm.
I love how insane he is. Like in the middle of the school, he's like, I'm gonna stab you.
Yeah, he just another straight up Stephen King bully, but at least we find out later that he's like actually evil. Okay.
And that was a fun twist that he's already dead.
Yeah. I don't remember if it was Bob or another guy, but I think the biggest laugh of the episode is when Xander has the guy in the car and he's like interrogating him and then accidentally decapitates him when he's driving. That's a great bit.
Yeah,
That's one of the first clips I ever saw of Buffy.
that's awesome.
But I realized while watching this, it is a season 3 episode. That was the first episode of Buffy I ever saw while flipping channels while I was at my grandma's house, and it's the prom episode. Because I remember flipping channels and I saw her opening the curtains and Angel getting burned. I'm like, stupid.
People don't spontaneously combust.
Oh,
Dumbass.
also, we do need to mention a major character beat does happen in this episode. Faith and Xander sleep together, and that will come up later. We'll talk about more when we get to that episode. I feel bad for Xander with the whole Faith thing, but I like that they're consistent that he's attracted to Slayers.
Sure.
Nah, I mean, I don't have that because he's attracted to every woman.
He's attracted to
I
a
don't-
lot of people.
But we've made a case. We've focused on he's been attracted to both Slayers.
But no, what is fun about that is it's just a role reversal where he thinks this means something, and to her it's just fun, and then it's over.
Yeah.
And
I was gonna say he has encounters with 4 women this season alone:
oh yeah,
Cordelia, Willow, Faith, and Anya.
Yeah.
yep.
But to be fair, I think isn't the idea that Faith is his first time going that far, going all the way, like having actual sex.
They say that, but I didn't know if I like bought that him and Cordelia never did. I don't know, but
I can believe that this was his first time.
Yeah.
With somebody. I don't know.
Because that's why he
if
thought it was a
Cordelia
big
ever went
deal.
that
It's
far.
because he'd never had sex before.
yeah.
And I could
that's at
see
least how I interpreted it.
because my read on that, Hayden, would be that because him and Cordelia were basically just a couple of high schoolers that were horny. They never.
What I mean,
They never got that far either, due to them not really liking each other like that, or just we saw a couple times they would go out to make out point, but then they'd get attacked by a werewolf or a monster. But I do think the idea is that Faith is the first one that he actually has sex with. And that's why he doesn't know how to handle it. But
yeah.
And we get Oz in this episode. I love Oz this season. He might be one of the best characters.
Yeah,
Oz is great.
he's a highlight, and it's definitely a benefit to the show that he's a main regular now. Because like last season, he appears so infrequently that you kind of forget about him, and then he shows up again, and you're like, oh yeah, and
It
then
might
like
it
at
might
least
be
him. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that at least him being a werewolf like comes up more. Like it's more of a problem this season. Like that's introduced in 2 and like hardly ever comes up again. At least here it's more of a regular thing
Yeah.
that they have to deal with. So I appreciate that.
No, my theory has always been that they made him a werewolf and then regretted it because, like, this show never has a consistent take on werewolves or design, and it feels like they're just stuck with it.
Mhm.
But is there anything else about the Zeppo that we should talk about?
No, I think we're
No,
good.
we're good.
What did you want to say, Hayden?
I was just gonna. I think this main cast is probably my favorite form of the Buffy cast. Like
Yeah.
I think all the characters gel really well together.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I don't disagree. So next up we have episode 14, Bad Girls, which is a major episode for this season. So before we get into the actual episode, I asked you, Robert, at the end of the last season's or last stream where we talked about this, where did you see Faith going? Were you caught off guard with the contents of this episode, with what happens with her in this episode, or is that something you kind of figured we were heading for?
No, yeah, I wasn't too familiar with like who Faith was and where we were going with her. I just thought she was just gonna be kind of another ally, but maybe more of like an anti-hero. So I was surprised by the villain turn, and I really dug that. Of course, I don't know how long that's gonna stick. I'd say as far as this episode goes, by the end of it, jumping straight to the end. I assume by the end, like, okay, she's gonna come around, and then nope.
Nope.
uh,
She's Buffy's Venom.
yeah, no, that's a good way of putting it. And like, I thought she was fine in the first half. Like, I liked her. Like, I thought she was okay. Just kind of a new character. As far as this season is concerned, I think she's more interesting as a villain, as a
Yes.
foil for Buffy. All that stuff really worked for me.
But I would argue she's a foil for Buffy from scene 1. It's just they're
Sure.
trying to work together. What I like about Faith in the first half is that she represents what Buffy wants to be. You know, she loves what she does. She's charismatic, easy to be around. All these things that Buffy sometimes cannot be or isn't.
Mhm.
Whereas Buffy, she takes slaying by this point takes slaying very seriously. Is hard has trouble communicating with her friends. And I think that comes to a head here, their two personalities at the end. And this YouTube channel I watch that does in-depth analysis per episode has said that this season is all about foils. And we'll talk about it as we go, but here we're introduced to another foil, Wesley Wyndham-Pryce, who is the foil for Giles, and is the new Slayer, and is hilariously in over his head. How did you feel about Wesley in this episode?
I like him fine. Like, he serves a very specific purpose, and I think he's fine so far. There's a really icky subplot that we give him later that we'll get to
I
that
don't
I think
like
was
that
a
at all.
mistake. Like, Jesus Christ. That hasn't aged well, at the very least.
No.
But
You're gonna make me look like a weirdo because it doesn't go anywhere. Who cares?
But,
I mean, it kind of does.
It does. Well, it's weird.
It's weird.
You guys realize?
Okay,
we'll get to it.
No. So the only thing that I found maybe a little disappointing about this subplot, but also not a surprise, just given the nature of television at the time, is I feel like if the show was made in a different era, having Giles getting fired is something we could have actually sat with longer and had him actually out of the show for a bit. But because the show was made when it was made and he's a series regular, he's still around every episode. So that subplot never felt as like impactful as I was expecting, because it's not as much of a status quo shift as I was expecting. It's more just, oh, there's just another guy here now.
No, but I would
Um,
argue that it's very status quo shifting. Without Wesley, Faith doesn't change sides.
um, I mean, I can see that.
We'll
It's just
talk
not
about
like
it more in, I think it's in the next episode, which is where I'm talking. But
I'm just talking more about like Giles's role in the group, and also like we've already had some like what are they called, the watch or the council or whatever.
yeah,
Watcher.
Like we've already had somebody else sent from them who turned out to be evil.
well, and they do
Like,
reference that this episode.
yeah. So I don't know. Like I think Wesley's fine. And the like you said, him being in over his head, that stuff's fun. And everyone else just like not giving a shit about him and not dealing with him. All that stuff works.
Yeah. What I like about Wesley is, like I said, he's the opposite of Giles, but I think to have that foil be fully effective, you need him to be there. Because, like, yeah, Giles isn't gone, but Wesley ends up overriding him half the time anyway, and then Buffy just refuses to listen to him, and then Faith just doesn't want to deal with any of it. But I find that Wesley and Faith are an interesting parallel to Buffy and Giles, and how that they don't work together at all.
Mhm.
They won't take the time to get to know each other. And I can see Wesley being annoying, like when you're first watching it. But I think his characterization proves a specific point. He's like Giles in season 1. If Giles never had a character arc and came to care about his Slayer, I think that's all very interesting.
Yeah, and I can see where you're coming from. That Wesley like is an important piece in Faith's turn. What I meant more is when you do get to the like last stretch of episodes, that's not really at the forefront. We're not talking about that much. Um, but we'll get to it.
Yeah. No, because I mean, by the last stretch, that does kind of get overshadowed by the mayor. But
Yeah.
Well, hey, what do you think about Wesley in this episode and his role and everything?
I mean, he's British. I hate him.
Well,
I don't think the actor is British. I'm pretty sure he's not. He's married to Alison Hannigan, I think.
yeah,
That's what I'm thinking of.
Oh.
Right? Yeah.
he's not
Yeah,
British. He was born in Maryland.
He's fine. Now he's fine.
You do realize
Wesley-
Giles is British, like in real life.
My brain went. I was gonna say not anymore.
Oh,
Oh.
R.I.P.
Yeah, rest in peace. Wesley's good. I have heard, because I'm the only Buffy fan on the planet who's never seen Angel. I have heard that because he's beloved, but it's because of Angel.
Okay.
No,
And
he's one of my favorite characters in this whole universe.
But he's good in this season. He can get kind of grating, but that's the point. I know,
Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
like it's not the actor's fault. He's doing a good job.
Yeah, like I said, he serves a very specific purpose.
It's just that one subplot that Robert and I will talk about.
Yep.
Did you guys find it kind of funny that the villain of this is because this is the episode with Balthazar, that really fat vampire? Blade did the same thing around this
Well,
time.
It's Baron Harkonnen.
That's what I thought. I was like, oh, it's just the Baron from Dune.
Well,
stupid
because
little
Robert,
arms.
you've
Yeah.
seen Blade, right?
Yeah, but not in a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I've
'cause
only seen
there's-
those movies like
yeah.
once.
There's that really fat vampire in that movie that they go to, and it's like the same setup, and it's really weird because those came out like at the same time.
But also in this episode, because this is the everybody hates Buffy season, this is her fuck it episode where she just cuts loose
Yeah.
and hangs out with Faith more,
Yes.
which blows up in their faces.
So
Assaults
let's
two
talk
police
about the
officers.
Buffy and Faith of it all. This is very much the episode where Faith's kind of bad influence comes to a head. Buffy starts trying to be more like Faith. You get a really cool montage. of them, just fighting and dancing and whatever they want to do. And it's Faith says, "I see it, I want it, I take it," which is a horrifying philosophy when you think about it.
Yes.
But something that's fun, because this is the episode with the Buffy and Faith dance, that is later referenced in X-Men Evolution. They basically recreate that whole thing with
okay.
Rogue
Yeah, I think I
and
know what you're talking
Kitty
about.
Pryde. That show is kind of bleh, but that was a cool reference.
That's funny.
And
But
it all culminates in them killing a human. And
yes.
did you have this where it's staged very awkwardly? Because Buffy says, "Faith, wait," but then it's like she says it before Faith even goes to stab him, and then she just stabs him anyway.
So my thing about that is I'm not. I get why Buffy's traumatized and everything.
Yeah.
It wasn't their fault. I feel like that would have happened even if they weren't screwing up.
Okay, so keep in mind, I've only seen this once, so it's totally possible I missed something. The deputy mayor of it all, I was a little confused or unsure. Like, wait, okay, why was he turning on the mayor? Was he looking for them for help, or like why was he there? I was a little confused on like the context, and I don't know if the show made that super clear. Um, because that's part of why Buffy's traumatized when like they find out like who he was and what he was doing. She was like, because she speculates later, oh, like he might have been looking for us, like for help or
Mm-hmm.
something. But I don't know if that's confirmed or not. That's the only side of it I was a little confused by, is why he was there.
Yeah, and I think Giles is right when he's like, I mean, you fight every night.
Yeah.
Something like this is bound to happen at some point.
So I'm not sure why he was there. I don't know. I don't think that they. I don't think they ever settle on it. I I don't think it's well. Obviously, one, she took a human life. We're very consistent with like that's too far for her. But it's more so she can't keep this to herself. Like she needs to confess she's done wrong. We've all been there.
Yeah.
This is obviously a
Oh.
very extreme situation.
We've
but
we've all killed the deputy mayor once.
yeah.
Oh yeah. No, because whether you think Buffy's partially responsible or not, like that, like we said, that doesn't matter. What matters is that you buy her being traumatized and
Yes.
how she feels about that, and that all tracks for me. And this is where Faith started to get a little more interesting for me, and I was like, oh, I hope they stick with this, is because one thing Buffy does a lot this season is she projects onto Faith a lot, like, oh, I feel this way, therefore this must be how Faith feels, or I know what Faith is going through. And Faith has, I think it's the end of this episode where Faith has the speech of like, no, you think I feel bad about this, and I'm telling you I don't. Like, you are bothered by this, I'm not. Now, whether Faith is being dishonest or not, I was like, oh, this is actually interesting.
I think she is. But
So yeah, so I find Faith's psychology starting with this episode very interesting. Because you're right. Buffy does project like, oh, we're both Slayers, therefore we must be the exact same.
Mhm.
And we get that, I think, in her introduction episode, because initially Buffy's like, oh, she's trying to replace me because there can only be one of us. Um, but yeah, no, they have that whole conversation, and Faith's whole argument is, well, we save a lot of people, so if we kill one, who cares? And
Mhm.
that's a horrifying way to live, by the way. Buffy's like, but I care, therefore you should care. And it ends in the scene that you will see for the rest of the season in the previously on, where she says, "No, Buffy, you don't get it. I don't care." But I think there's a lot of little expressions and looks that
Yeah.
Faith shoots at not just Buffy, but later the mayor, where it's like she is in over her head and spiraling, but she feels like she's made her choice and she can't go back.
Yeah, like there are a few very clear moments that, like, okay, she does have regrets to some degree, or at the very least is feeling unsure. But I was digging the villain turn, and I was pleasantly surprised when that's where we really go off to in the next episode. I think like, oh shit,
Yeah.
like this, because I again from this episode of her killing the deputy mayor, I was expecting her to come around much faster, or like because I am also kind of I'm curious how the later seasons will go, but there's also kind of a formula we've stuck to with season 2 and season 3. In season 2, we talked about Angel becoming a jealous and being like the surprise villain of the back half of that season, and we do kind of the same thing with Faith this season. Obviously, the context is different, but it reminded me of that. Like, oh, we're kind of ironing out a formula here, and I'm curious if they'll stick with that or not. So that, like I said, that was just a pleasant surprise for me that she ended up being such a major antagonist this season. She's obviously not the main threat. The main threat is the mayor.
Hey,
That's the
I
main
adore
plot,
the
but
mayor. He's one of my
he's
favorite
great.
villains.
He did nothing wrong.
Yeah, no, objectively. um, but no, that whole conversation at the end where they're kind of each character's kind of saying how they feel about this situation that has occurred, and kind of just becomes a philosophical debate between the two of them. I think is really interesting, and it balances having, to use a comic book comparison, Superman and like Bizarro, or someone who's like Superman but just different enough, without it becoming like a preach fest. Like, I don't feel like the show is coming down on either side is right. It's just these two characters, because of their experiences, are here, and though they cannot coexist with these two different ideologies.
And it's again, I didn't know the show ever did this, but just having another Slayer character become an antagonist for Buffy is just such a great obvious idea, and it's really cool that we took our time and built to that so naturally. One of the things we complain all the time about with the Flash show is how, I mean, it's season 1 right off the bat we do evil Flash with Reverse Flash, and then the show can't stop fucking doing evil Flashes
Well, and
for
it's
the following
interesting,
seasons.
and it's interesting too because I feel like that was especially big right then. As somebody who grew up in the '90s, Power Rangers made it famous with the Sixth Ranger, with the Green Ranger. Animorphs introduced a sixth Animorph that goes bad. His fate is horrifying, by the way. I don't know if you guys have ever read Animorphs, but they decide to bring in a sixth member, and he becomes corrupted by the power. And it's like, well, we can do whatever we want. So they trick him into transforming into a rat. But there's a time limit of 2 hours, and if you go over 2 hours, you're stuck in that animal form. So they just stick him as a rat for the rest of his life. It's horrifying when you think about it. But then you get Buffy, obviously, with Faith. And
we mentioned Venom earlier.
And Venom.
Spider-Man.
Yep. And I will say, Faith will get more progression in season 4 and then season 1 of Angel. And I believe the idea was originally Joss had more plans for her, but Eliza Dushku didn't want to get typecast, so she's not a regular like she should have been. I will die on the hill that she should have been a main character on Angel for all 5 seasons. I think her character fits perfectly in with the themes of that show, but I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, anything else we want to talk about with 14?
No, I think we're good because the next one, Consequences, just picks up that plot and runs with it.
One thing I did want to say, and this will tie into 15 as well. One of the influences that Faith kind of has is, but like I said, Buffy again kind of starts to isolate from Xander and Willow, and that kind of, I think it's 15 where that kind of comes to a head because she goes to Willow for research or something, and that's where they have the whole talk about like, let us in, let us help you. We may not be Slayers, but at this point we know what we're doing. But yeah, 15 Consequences. We find out that Faith dumped the body poorly, apparently, because I guess divers find it.
Yeah.
Yep.
How did you feel about 15, Robert?
This is pretty good. Again, I like that we just kept this main plot going and didn't get too sidetracked. And now this is also becoming kind of a blur. Have we gotten to like the misunderstanding? No, I guess that must be later with like Angel and
so
Faith. That must be way
So, sorry, 15, because this is where I was talking about where Wesley becomes integral to this plot. They have this whole plan where they knock Faith out and take her to Angel, who Angel obviously has killed people before and knows what she's going through, and they have a really nice talk. And then when it seems like Angel's getting through to her, Wesley betrays them and brings like a hit squad to arrest her and basically pushes her back down the path that she was already going.
Mhm.
I am firmly of the belief that if Wesley wasn't there, Angel could have gotten through to her.
I don't necessarily agree.
Yeah, I feel like at this point in time, Faith's already spiraling. She's on a bad choice road. So,
But I
don't
think
know.
the show thinks that too.
Maybe
Because that's how
I'm
it's
more
written.
thinking- I don't know. At the very least, she's like strongly in denial about how she feels about killing that guy and then dumping. I feel like once you've dumped the body, like that's a process you
Yeah.
have to go through. Like she's already had to go through a lot of mental gymnastics to justify what she's done. But I don't know. What else? Now, so John, what you were just talking about, is it after that when Faith lies to Giles about what happened, or does that happen first?
I think it's
no, that
it's
is
before that.
that is before that. So you have this wonderful scene where Buffy can't take it anymore and goes to Giles, and Faith is there and is basically shoved her under the bus, and tells her that Buffy is the one that killed him. But Giles sees through it because he knows Buffy, and I love that moment because in a modern show that would be like a 3-episode subplot of him believing her and drawing it out and all that bullshit.
I was so fucking worried Giles was gonna believe Faith. I was gonna scream. And so it was such a relief that he was like, "Oh no, she's obviously lying. So this is what happened." So I'm gonna double down and be with Hayden on this one because Faith is already going as far as to lie about what happened and throw Buffy under the bus. Yeah, she's already a little far gone at this point. At this point in time, anyway.
Yeah, but
Because that was cold.
I mean, it was, but I'm gonna stand my ground. I think the show believes that Angel was getting through to her because that's the way it plays.
I think Angel and Buffy might think that. I don't necessarily think the show does, because it's from what I get, like she's so stubborn and like traumatized and doesn't.
But she's vulnerable in that conversation with Angel, which she hasn't been with anyone else.
But she does that later, and she's lying.
Yes, she also lies a lot, so I can't always tell.
But she only does that later when she's already working for the mayor. I think if Wesley hadn't done what he did, Angel would have gotten through to her, or at the very least, she wouldn't be working with the mayor for the rest of the season.
Maybe. Like I said, I think she's already pretty far gone at that point, but yes, things would have played out differently to some degree. I don't disagree that Wesley like has a hand in
because I think that is Wesley's ultimate role here. Is he's fresh out of the academy or whatever. They mentioned that a couple times, I think, and he's been given a Slayer who is on the edge, and he pushes her over that edge. But obviously this is where we set up that Faith offers to replace Mr. Trick. I was sad to see Mr. Trick go. I love Mr. Trick.
Me too. Yeah, he was fun.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, this is basically just part 2 to 14. It's very straightforward, and it gets us to where we need to go. However, it is a little weird. I'm gonna jump into 16 for a second, because then we move to 16, which is a sequel to the Wish, and is also important but kind of filler, where nobody seems to talk about the fact that Faith went AWOL last time they saw her, but she's just with the gang again. Did you guys
Well,
have that?
I had the at the beginning, and then you realize that she's like giving information.
No, I
But
know
yeah.
what she's
Well-
doing, but nobody else brings up the fact that she went AWOL last episode.
To be fair, at the end of the last episode, they did team up again and kill Mr. Trick. And then Buffy has that conversation like, oh, I think, like, Buffy thinks that Faith is coming around, that she'll be fine. And obviously she's dead wrong. So to be fair, they think they're good or that they'll get past this. But yeah, I would say Doppelgangland, I think is pretty fun. But it's another, I would say, kind of just awkwardly placed episode in the season.
So before we move on fully to Doppelgangland, do either of you want to talk any more about consequences?
No.
Oh, I have one thing I want to, because consequences also kind of resurrects and then puts a stomp on the Xander and Willow thing. So this is the episode where it comes out that Xander slept with Faith, and he has that really heartbreaking moment where he's like, I can get through to her, like, we have a connection, and everybody's like, no you don't, trust me. And then he goes anyway, and it's really disturbing. But Willow's reaction is to run off and cry. What?
Yeah.
Why are
I
we
feel
still
like-
doing that?
Yeah, and then that's about as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Again, another all I'm not gonna say all, most of the Willow and Xander stuff. It's like this feels season 1, season 2 territory. Why are we still?
Well,
doing this?
even like I had that with the first half of the season, but we ended that. Like they made a conscious decision that they couldn't be together anymore, and she hasn't shown any interest since the episode where they got caught because she's been focused on Oz and like repairing that relationship. Why is she upset about this now?
Yeah, I don't know. And this is the only episode where that's like where that overtly comes up, because outside of this episode, like the Xander and Willow affair like might as well have not happened by the back half of the season.
I disagree because that's only for Willow's side. It completely changes Xander's status quo because him and Cordelia do not get along anymore.
Yeah. But
and I feel like
what
that's the
mean
only
more-
reason that happened is to break them up.
I agree, and what I mean more is that there are just we could have gotten there any other number of ways.
Oh, trust me, I would have taken any other way. I hate that's the worst subplot in this entire show, but it's one of them. But yeah, I wanted to bring that up because it's really weird and out of place, and it feels like somebody just remembered that they did that and was like, well, we got to reference that. Because it gets referenced in Doppelgangland too, but it's funny there.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and move on to Doppelgangland, which is a sequel to The Wish. I'm happy we get more Vampire Willow. How did you feel about this episode, Robert?
Yeah, she's fun. I kind of resisted the premise only in that, like, I don't love the idea of characters actually being aware of that other timeline, because that part of the fun of that episode is that it resets and like nobody knows that all this shit fucking happened. So we kind of backtrack that already, but we also don't really get in the weeds of it. So I guess I appreciated that.
Yeah, really the only one that at the end of the day still knows anything is just Anya.
Yeah. And Willow doesn't have like a lot of context for.
And I feel like this is a pretty important episode for Anya, who will become pretty important as time goes on. I love that scene. This had some of my funniest, like my favorite, just funny scenes. Like when Vampire Willow's like all rubbing on Xander, and he's like, "Whoa, we agreed, like no more."
Yeah. Or the scene when Vampire Willow's locked up and is trying to talk Cordelia and letting her out, and then it's
she's
just
like
stuck.
like leaning against the bars. Like,
But my favorite is when Angel comes to tell them about Willow, and he's like, "It's Willow. She's dead. Oh, hi, Willow. Wait." Also, that scene's really funny because David Boreanaz is like breathing really hard, but vampires don't breathe.
It's fine. It's not breathing. It's sorrowful panting. It's
Oh.
different. No, I was expecting there to be a lot more misunderstanding shenanigans of like, oh fuck, they're gonna try to kill real Willow, thinking that she's bad. But no, we actually get past that pretty quickly, and then like you said, we kind of make a joke out of it when an angel thinks that Willow's dead in a vampire, and then oh, okay,
Uh, what's crazy too is this is written and directed by Joss Whedon. This episode.
yeah.
Usually he directs like the big important episodes or like a story episode. Here she's like, I want to do this like goofy one-off episode.
And there's some weird fetishy stuff in it, but we don't need to dwell on it.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Well, okay, just through cultural osmosis, like there are things I'm kind of aware of that'll happen in later seasons, but like there's kind of an important hint set up here in terms of Willow's sexuality that's like treated as a joke, like, but it comes
Yes.
up more than once, and it's like, oh, so
No.
I guess we already know
This
that's where we're
episode.
going.
So I don't know how much of that they planned ahead, especially because I don't know if he knew what he could get away with at the time.
Yeah.
Well, this episode kind of sets up a couple of things for Willow, and I'll mention this when we get there. But yeah, Willow was like, I think I'm gay.
But just how we get there is just like this really weird multiversal stuff that I don't want to get into the weeds of.
Also, I will say,
But it made me very
well,
uncomfortable.
but this doesn't really affect that. Like, it never comes up when we get to that stuff. Like when she finds the girl that kind of makes her question her sexuality, she doesn't go, "Oh, I was gay." It's just kind of it happens over
Okay.
time. No, and they have like one of the best relationships on the show, but that's later. I also really loved Oz's reaction throughout this whole episode. Is it this episode where he's talking with one of his bandmates and like most bands can play more than 3 chords or something?
Yeah.
Well, and also when Vampire Willow shows up at that club, and wait, how the fuck has that place not been shut down yet? How many murders have happened? This
I
fucking
mean,
club.
the school has had enough mysterious disappearances. As earlier in the season, it was like, if we could just cut down the number of mysterious disappearances, we can win the basketball finals or whatever.
In the prom episode, they say that this class has had the least fatalities in Sunnydale history, which I do not believe. Why is the school still open? Why do people still live in this town?
But when Vampire Willow and the others show up, like Oz's bandmate, it's like, dude, like your girlfriend, like look at her, and he's like, what the fuck?
What's kind of amusing in watching this in 2026, I'm going to skip to the ending of this episode, but we send her back to reality where she's immediately killed. And all I could think of was No Way Home, where like the big debate was sending all those villains back because when you do, they'll be killed. I was like, oh, we tackled that problem like 30 years ago.
No, that's exactly what I thought of when we got there. And I didn't know how to feel about the show. It's just, I do feel like we praised it in that Xander episode with having like this big important thing happening, but it's in the background and it's treated as a joke. We're maybe veering on going too far with the comedy, only in that it's happening a bit more frequently. Where that it's like we have kind of this character moment for Willow of like, no, she's still me. Like I can't kill her. Let's send her back. Let's do that. And of course they don't know that she ends up dying anyway. But I don't know. I'm not saying it's a problem yet. It's just an observation that we are getting more of that type of comedy a bit more frequently. But there's not much of that in the last few episodes when we get to the last stretch.
Well, it's something like that. Because I think the difference, though, Robert, is the legit story episodes are treated seriously. It's just these moments, and we've already seen that moment from a more dramatic point of view. Because the end of the Wish episode is very dramatic and like sad, and slow mo. So I think it's fine that this episode takes a little enjoyment of the irony of she wants to go home so bad, but when she left, she was 3 seconds away from dying. Uh, but no, I thought this episode was a lot of fun. Uh, doesn't really progress much, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Because then we get to 17, which is enemies, which might be the most important episode in the back half, or second most anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so is this the one where Buffy sees Faith kissing Angel and then is
Yes.
like really upset about it?
Is this the fake Angelus episode? Or
Yes,
is
this is the fake
Yeah.
Angelus episode. So this starts with them encountering a demon who claims to have a book of the Books of Ascension. My favorite joke in this episode is when Giles complains that demons have no like etiquette anymore. What happened to like beating hearts as barter and living in caves? I don't know what it is, but just the way he delivers it is hilarious. But Robert, what did you feel about episode 7? How did you feel about 17?
This is an episode I think I was kind of on the fence with, and another one that wins me over by the end, where I was like, okay, thank God. Like, this is an episode that could have gone wrong in several places, but they stick the landing.
I will say I think it's important that they reference Angelus, or like at least bring it up. I think I would be with you that this episode would have been worse if it was really Angelus.
Yeah.
Because and it's a very CW thing to do. Not that the CW is around yet, I don't think. But like, you know, because of course he's the big threat of last season, so of course we got to bring him back for an episode. And I'm like, don't do that. And then it's all a ruse. It's all fake. And I was like, okay, that was actually clever and fun. I don't know how well this one will hold up to scrutiny on a rewatch. It just in terms of when Buffy and Angel are communicating and all that, but it comes together by the end, or I'm like, okay, I think that made sense. At the very least, it's a fun twist.
I think it's a great reveal when Faith is like, "What can I say? I'm the world's best actor," and Angel goes second best,
Yeah.
and then just like that music cue kicks in, and it kind of goes slow mo for a second. Maybe that's a little, it's like overplaying a little bit, but I think it's a great moment.
Well, because I knew what Buffy was doing in that scene. You know, it's the Black Widow scene from Avengers when she's talking to Loki. So I got what Buffy was doing. It did surprise me that it was Angel pretending to be Angelus, and that is a very satisfying reveal.
Yeah.
But
Also,
when
one of the most cathartic moments, sorry, real quick, with the Angelus stuff is when he punches Xander.
Yeah.
yeah. And that's funnier in hindsight.
Yes.
Like,
When
but
Xander's like, it didn't feel like acting, or
and he deserved it. But when we're doing like the Angel, like when Faith is flirting with Angel, and then Buffy sees them, I'm like, no. Like I was so worried when we were doing that stuff, and thankfully that doesn't really go anywhere. And then I think it's this episode where like Buffy's having that conversation with Willow, and Buffy's like still defending Faith. And Willow's like, no, it's fine. And then it's like, yeah, and I'm of course with Willow and that, where it's like, no, trust Angel, like nothing happened. Like,
No,
it's
I
fine.
don't. Is that this episode? Because by this episode, Buffy is pretty sure what side Faith is on.
I need to watch it again.
Okay, I just don't remember that conversation. What I like about this episode too is it kind of sets up the way Angel will operate in his own show, where he's pretending to be bad to do good and kind of working in like that shades of gray, whereas the Scooby Gang typically are very black and white, like we are the good guys, these are the bad guys, we stop them. Angel is kind of in the middle and kind of works both sides to ultimately do a greater good. And that has some consequences here where Buffy's like, I know you did what I asked and like you did great, but that really bothered me seeing Angelus back, and like I think, you know, obviously some PTSD or lingering resentment there. It's like I need a minute.
Yeah, I'll say I don't think all of the Buffy and Angel romance stuff, I don't think it's all handled great in like this last stretch of episodes. Like we end this one with Buffy telling him that they need a break, and then of course he shows up again in the next episode because he's a series regular. So,
Yeah.
but then like very shortly after that he'll break up with her, and
I'll
some
talk.
of that I thought was a little messy.
I want to talk about the breakup when we get there because that's the big thing I have problems with. Uh, but we'll get there. Hayden, what did you think about Enemies?
Yeah, it's a good episode. I
Great summary.
Yeah, I know. No, the Angelus thing is fun, like Robert said. I I haven't rewatched 3 in a while. I forgot that he was acting, so it was a like I was like, wait, what? I don't remember this at all. And then I'm like, oh, okay, all right, that's why. Um, like if this happened, I would have heard about it. Um, uh, yeah, the Faith is this is like the not the beginning, but Faith is like really messed up in this one where she's gonna torture Buffy and uh
Yeah,
like kill her slowly. I'm like, God damn. Um, I'll
it's
mention here.
also
I'll mention here because it's in this episode as well. But her dynamic with the mayor is crazy. Where it's the father daughter relationship of Faith and the mayor. Um, where
yeah.
like he's so like jovial, and then will tell her to go torture Buffy.
So I'm glad you brought that up because obviously, and this is probably a good place to talk about that. I mentioned earlier that this season is all about foils, Wesley and Giles, Buffy and Faith, but obviously one of the big ones that this back half really focuses on is the mayor and Faith kind of being a foil for Buffy and Giles, even
Yeah,
more so than Wesley and Faith. I find it really interesting that mainly what she's looking for is a parental figure, and it
Yeah,
seems like
and I
that's
mean,
what she wants from him.
it's also fucked up and all shades of wrong because she could if Faith comes on to him at one point and is going that direction with it, and he's like, whoa, like family value. I'm not into it. Like he's all about family values, and I
Yeah.
respect it.
Well, and I
Like,
my
so
think
we
my
don't.
that
favorite my favorite part is that he's so happy about the like the Boy Scouts, and he's like the youth of America, and then his plan is to kill everyone graduating high school. Like, why?
well, and what I like, I love that scene where he's like, "Whoa, family values here," but I think that's very telling of how Faith views sex. It's
Mhm.
entirely disposable and it's just used to get her what she wants. And
Yeah,
I like that the first person that kind of says, "Hey, I'm not into that. I want to help you," even though it's horrifying and he's not really helping her. She latches on and kind of willingly plays the daughter figure for a psychopath. Um,
yep.
so let's talk about the mayor here, and then obviously we can bring more conversation into it as we get into the last few episodes. He's my second favorite Buffy villain. Just the way that actor plays it and delivers some of those lines is wonderful. I don't think I've ever seen such a cheerful villain in a show like this. How did you feel about the mayor, Robert?
Oh, I liked him a lot. He felt like to me just kind of a do-over of the Master from season one, just done with a better take.
Uh-huh.
It's just more
Or I
interesting.
take
Just
it
because the
all.
master, I take it all. Yeah, because the Master is just very generic, mustache twirling,
Yeah.
take over the world villain. It's like, what if we did that again, but with a guy with more of a weird, quirky personality, and that contrast is fun.
And he's legitimately quirky because a lot of times nowadays they'll just throw in a few weird character traits and call it a day. Like this guy is legitimately unhinged and you don't know what he's going to say or do next. Like I love that it's in the first half, but he have that scene with the deputy mayor where he's like, "Make sure you wash under your fingernails." It's like,
Yeah,
okay.
no, I love that he's like because I don't think he's faking being nice. He's just like he's nice, but he's a nice guy who's evil.
Well,
No, I
he's
don't
also
think there's anything. I think he has a very calculated way of being, but I also think he's very sincere about it.
Like he's legitimately giving Buffy and Angel relationship advice as he's trying to kill them.
He's arguably one of the most honest villains we've had on this show, where he's like, yeah, this is just who I am.
There's also kind of an irony of he's brutally honest and a politician.
Yes. Well, he's such a child. Like he has a childlike quirk to him that is not unlike a U.S. president. He's just classic politician.
Well, and I like that there's a little depth to him too, because he's been around a long time, and you get the I think it's in 19, which we'll talk about, or it's 18 or 19. No, it's 19. With the box, and it's where he's giving Buffy and Angel relationship advice, and he talks about he had a wife that he loved, and he had to watch her grow old and die. I don't know how he's immortal. They don't really talk about that, which I mean, that's whatever.
I think they imply that he's like a wizard and it's a spell that he figured out because
Okay.
There's another person they call a sorcerer at some point, and it's like a similar thing.
Okay. But no, I love the mayor, and that actor is in an episode of Bones. It's one of the few episodes that I remember of that show. But that was fun because obviously Borneaz is the lead, and you get a small reunion there. I love the bit in 17 where he tries to recruit the mayor tries to recruit Angelus, and Angelus is like, "You can call me master now."
And sometimes it's hard to pull off like this kind of overconfidence with the villain, who in most contexts could just be killed by one of their underlings at any moment. But here it actually makes sense because we account for that when he gets his invincibility. So all of those interactions with Angelus.
Maybe my favorite visual gag in all of Buffy is his to-do list, where it's like something
become invincible,
speak it, whatever. I love that.
That's great. And then it's skipping to the end, like his final big speech, when Buffy's like, "Oh my god, he's gonna say the full speech," because he would. Like, he doesn't need to, but he
well, and
would.
what I love is even before he becomes invincible, for this process that we keep hearing about, is he is so just powerful or unhinged that vampires respect him and like willingly work for him. So you're right. He is for the first few episodes just basically a normal guy, but there's something you can already tell. There's something about him that he's getting the vampires to work for him despite just being another guy, and I think that's such a cool, different villain, because it would have been really easy for them to go, well, we have to recapture the magic of Angelus this season and find something personal for Buffy, and we do with Faith, but we allow her to just kind of be the heavy and the emotional conflict. But the real villain is he's just this guy that's just really happy with what he's doing. He likes what he's doing. And I think that was the correct choice. And I think the mayor, if you had another actor in that role, I don't think it works as well. Like the guy that they cast is just so good in every scene. And that is Harry Groner. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that, but
I think Grainer.
Oh, he's had, if you can believe it, in guest appearances on Star Trek.
Yeah. I
also just love that his first name is Richard. What a dick.
Richard Wilkins the third.
Yeah.
But he's Richard Wilkins the first because it's the same guy 3 times.
Oh. But so Robert, of the 3 villains, obviously, none of us were super crazy about the Master. Like, he kind of serves his purpose in season 1. Do you like the mayor or Angelus more?
It's hard to pick because they're so different. The mayor, I think, is more fun to watch.
Yeah,
I definitely
on this rewatch, I liked, because I love the Angelus stuff. I think I like the mayor more.
Ooh,
on this watch.
I still prefer Angelus just for like the emotional stakes, but the mayor's really good too.
But the Faith storyline really complements it.
Yes.
It's that compare and contrast with those two that really works. If it was just the mayor on his own, the season would be a lot less interesting.
I think that's also one of the smart things is they kind of just sprinkle him throughout the first half, and he doesn't really become a major player until the Faith turn. But I got us kind of stuck on 17 and talking about the mayor. But let's go ahead and move on to 18, which I like this episode a lot. Uh, how did I have questions about the end because I don't think that makes sense. But Earshot, how did you feel about Earshot? And if you didn't know, this was actually supposed to be broadcast in April of that year and was delayed until September due to Columbine. So if you were watching this weekly on TV, Enemies aired in March, and then you didn't get another episode until May 4th. They just skipped this one.
Oh, while we're on that, the finale, they aired part 1, and then they, for whatever reason, part 2 they decided was too similar to Columbine, which I don't know what that means, in terms of the finale of this season, but they delayed that until July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had like a 3-month wait between part 1 and part 2, but it aired in Canada, so it got bootlegged, and Joss Whedon came out on an interview and was like, "Bootleg it, I don't give a shit.
Oh my god.
Just watch it."
So I can kind of see that just with some of the violence and the setting of it. This one much more understandable, like because
Yes.
I knew that
You also
this one
don't
got
lose anything by
delayed and
delaying
more.
this. Like, it
Yeah,
doesn't add
No,
anything.
I'll go
it's
out and say this is my least favorite episode of the season, I think.
Oh, I can't
but
agree with
just
that.
not to dwell on the Columbine of it all, but like it comes up in several conversations, like school violence and things. Like it's really integral to the plot. So I'm like, yeah, I get why they pulled this one.
So
that makes sense.
I'm gonna work backwards
I'll be
with it.
right back. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's
You're
fine.
never beating those allegations, Hayden. I'm gonna work backwards on this one real quick, Robert. So the central mystery of this episode becomes after Buffy starts to hear people's thoughts, which is my favorite stuff in the episode because there's legitimately a couple funny gags that you get out of that. Is that she hears that somebody's gonna kill a bunch of students. The obvious suspect turns out to be Jonathan, who we've seen a couple times before and is kind of a reoccurring background character, who has a sniper rifle. Keep in mind, a sniper rifle. Yes. And says, I wasn't going to hurt anyone. I could never do that. I was going to take my own life. And then the reveal is that it's the lunch lady in a really funny Xander scene where he catches her pouring cartoon rat poison into a vat of food. So let me ask you this, because Joss Whedon obviously became famous for taking something and flipping on its head. You thought it was going to be this, but then it turns out to be this. I think this is that, but done poorly. Jonathan's explanation doesn't make sense. He has a sniper rifle.
With the scope and everything. Like, you really had to be sure.
Do you think they changed it? Like, because this episode got delayed. Do you think that might be a reshoot? And that was the original idea, was he was gonna shoot someone?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Because I've never looked into it. I've not heard otherwise, but that the two things don't connect.
Well, okay, so like you said, the formula of the show often is you're gonna do a familiar premise with like a witch or a werewolf or whatever, but the person you think it's gonna be actually isn't. It's somebody else because the context is what you were missing and didn't see coming. And in this case, we do that with the newspaper guy, where we set him up to be, oh, that's gonna be the would-be killer, and then oh no, it's actually Jonathan, but then oh no, it's actually the lunch lady. So it's kind of a messy episode. I don't know, it's a very strange, like, special episode of Buffy talking about these difficult issues, but surrounded by a lot of silliness. It's a very strange episode.
Yeah, because I feel like with what's there, you would do it is Jonathan, and he's just been pushed that far, and Buffy talks him down, and like, it's like, hey, this isn't the way to express yourself to be noticed. Instead, we get that, which doesn't make any sense, and then admittedly, the really funny reveal of it being the lunch lady.
Which is funny, but I think a better version of this episode doesn't need that.
No,
like,
I agree.
I think there's a more serious version of this episode where there's just a misunderstanding. Buffy thinks that a fellow student's gonna try to kill people, and then the reveal being, oh no, he's actually just trying to take his own life. Like, because that scene I actually think is very good. That dialogue back and forth with Buffy and Jonathan. It's just the context surrounding it, like the sniper rifle.
No, the sniper rifle is my big problem.
Yeah. So I think there's a really good episode in here, but it's trying to do a lot. And it's like on top of all that, like we have this Buffy plot where she gets the ability of reading people's minds, which at first is fun, and she kind of exploits, so that ends up tormenting her and being like this
His,
horrible. So in terms of, if I heard it, like I'd say the big problem with this episode just comes down to tone. Like this episode has tones all over the place. It's doing a lot of different things.
yeah, so okay. With the mind reading thing, maybe the conflict of this episode should have tied more into that, like a morality thing about reading people's minds. Although the the mind reading does lead to the best joke, maybe of this season, where Oz is having like an existential crisis in his head over Buffy being able to read his mind.
Yeah, and then of course this is also where Buffy finds out that her mom and Giles slept together. And is very upset about
I
it.
love Joyce in this episode because I forgot about that. And I was like, why is she trying to get out of the room so fast? Oh, she doesn't want her mind to be.
Yeah. So I don't know. This episode's just trying to do a lot of different things, and I don't think
I
it
think
balances all those plates
I
super
think the
well.
first half is wonderful, and then the second half, it just it goes off in 6 different directions and doesn't know which one to stick with. Hayden, while you were gone, we were talking about some of the better moments of this episode is her just being able to read minds, and I love
Yeah.
when Oz is having like a meltdown in his mind about Buffy being able to read his mind.
Yeah. The yeah, that stuff's good. This probably isn't fair. I just don't like, and it's because this is a rewatch. It probably played better for me the first time. I just don't like Jonathan. So I'm just
Aw,
like,
don't say
Oh.
that. Jonathan's cool.
no, he's not.
He's
I've
Jonathan
seen-
sucks.
I can't say anything right now but yeah. Also the big problem with the end, I think, is so the whole thing that sets this off is she hears somebody thinking that they're gonna kill students. That's not the lunch lady whose voice she hears, and everybody's thoughts are
No.
consistently their voice. If it was the lunch lady, I would think Buffy'd recognize it's the lunch lady.
And they try to the writers try to get out of it because there's a line later where Buffy's like, yeah, I wasn't sure if it was a guy or a girl, or if it was a man or woman who said that, and I'm like, that was clearly a guy, but whatever. So like we try to fix it and we
And
still
that is-
don't.
That is like the most cartoon bullshit in this show is the big thing of rat poison over the.
But it was
The
really
chili or
funny. I love Xander running through the cafeteria flipping over tables.
But I don't buy that nobody ate any of that.
Oh, somebody should be dead.
Well, they're added to the like 300 other mysterious deaths in this school.
I think they say that their class size is 100. I like to think that it used to be like 300, and now it's.
It might be.
It's not the show's fault because it's of its time, but when you get to the finale with the graduation ceremony, it is a little amusing. Just there's like maybe 100 extras there for a graduation ceremony, and like you said, the amount of students track, given how many have died the last 2 seasons. What's funnier is how few parents showed up.
Well, Robert, that's
20.
not because of its time. That's just who's left.
Yeah.
But I also like that of the ones left, the parents are like, no, I'm not showing up to that. I might die.
Is there anything else, Hayden? Because you were gone for most of it. Is there anything you want to say about 18 or?
No, it's just like it's fine. I don't dislike any episode this season, but I found myself just wanting to get it over with this time to get to the good stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like I said, I found this episode kind of messy. For me, which season I prefer, 2 or 3? As of now, kind of a toss up, just because 2 has more like very clearly like bad episodes, but most of them are pretty good.
2, for me, sorry to interrupt, but real quick, I'll just pitch in on what you're saying. 2, the back half is better than I think 3 for me, but as a whole season, I think 3 is better.
3 is more consistently good in that I don't think there are any bad episodes, but there are really good episodes that are saddled with bad subplots, like the
Yes.
Xander Willow affair, where it's
Well,
like,
that's Hayden's favorite subplot. You're gonna make him mad.
No.
God. But one thing I also wanted to just to springboard off of Earshot, because this will come up again here and then carry through the rest of the season, is with Buffy reading minds. We get overhearing what's his name, Wesley, the new guy.
Yeah.
Wesley.
Where he's thinking about Cordelia and he's like, she's so fucking hot, and you're like, oh no,
Well, and but Cordelia starts that in an earlier episode where she's like, he's British. Yay.
Yeah. So, okay, when he's first introduced and he meets Cordelia, we make a joke of it because he's obviously attracted to her, but mistakes her as a fellow teacher. And then Giles is like, she's a student. He's like, oh shit. Like, so that I thought was a funny joke, but then we bring it back and keep it going, and I'd say that is one of the lesser subplots for me this season.
Yeah,
It made me very
I
uncomfortable.
mean, it doesn't
like
need to be there, but I don't. It didn't make me uncomfortable. I mean, it. I think you're over. So it didn't need to be there. I'm not defending that it exists, but I think you're overthinking it on the uncomfortable scale. He's only like 22 and she is 18. That's only 4 years.
He is not 22.
It is established, Hayden, it is established that he is fresh out of the Watcher Academy.
Okay.
He's really young.
Okay, but I'm sure the actor is like 30. This is where the ages of these shows get really complicated, because our main cast, you have like people in their mid-20s still playing high schoolers.
Yeah.
So then when you have a new character like this introduced, like, I'm unclear on how old this guy is supposed to be or how old this actor is in relation to everybody else. But point being, it's, I don't know, I at the very least it's unnecessary, and I wouldn't have gone any further with it past that initial joke. Because even if it's stated she's 18, like, that doesn't make it okay.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
she's still, it's like, there's just a couple areas, there's a few things that happen this season where I feel like the actors and maybe even the cast are just really anxious to get out of high school, because this cast is obviously in their mid to late 20s and want to move
No,
past that.
they're the right
I
age for
think-
their characters.
I think the youngest is Geller, and I think she's 18 when this season's. I think. No.
Well, if we're talking about new cast members too, Eliza Dushku's so far, she is the youngest by like a lot.
Yeah, she's like 17 when this starts.
When
which
it
is
starts,
weird.
yeah. It's just, and again, like, is she supposed to be the same age as Buffy? I don't know, because ages are weird.
But doesn't go to
universe.
school.
Yeah, it's very strange. So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that Wesley subplot. And John, you said earlier, like, we don't. It's like they do make out in the finale, and it's very awkward.
They share
Like,
one kiss and then
each.
go, "Oh, that was uncomfortable and awkward."
Well, okay. They share a kiss. Stop. He keeps it going, and then she's like, "Okay, we're done. We're done." Like, he does not look good in that situation.
I like what he says. I'll call you. She says that'll be neat.
Like,
That'd be neat.
it made me very uncomfortable. I don't like it.
I don't know why I just thought of this, but I don't know where else I'm gonna put this in. So I was just saying, like, Faith doesn't go to school. Why does Anya feel the need to go to school?
I have no idea. So I wanted to kind of compare her to the mayor, where, like, the mayor they establish has been alive for like 100 years or whatever. He's been around a while. Her, I feel like her maturity and character makes a lot less sense. Where she's still very like socially awkward. Like she's still, I don't know. I agree with you. I don't know why she's still going to that school.
She talks about,
And
she's like, I'm failing math. I'm like, one, how'd you enroll? You don't have documents. You're
and
technically not a person. Two, you don't have parents making you go.
it's
And
and then what I'm talking more about like just maturity and stuff is we do the stuff with like her being into Xander that I was kind of indifferent toward. I'm skipping ahead a bit, but how did you guys feel about that brief romance? I mean, we got the prom coming up. Where
So I like
we'll
Anya.
get into
So
it.
the thing is, it's less a maturity thing and more of a, and how you feel about it is executed is whatever. Like that's on you, or up to you. It's more so she doesn't know how to be a person anymore, and how to fit in with humans. And I think she's still going to school to be amongst humans to learn how to exist with them. Um, I really like Xander and Anya. I think they complement each other very well. Where she's kind of got this blunt personality. She just says whatever she's thinking. And I've heard a lot of people say that she comes off very autism coded, and I can see that. Like there's a certain uh way that she kind of plays it that I can see kind of being a like a metaphor for autism. And I think that plays well off of Xander's sarcasm.
Mhm.
I don't know. I've always thought that was fine. She's just, where else is she gonna go? What is she gonna do? She doesn't have anything else. And as for the
Yeah, I don't
papers,
know.
she probably forged them with magic when she first showed up.
yeah.
I don't know. I've never thought about why she went to high school. It's a show.
I
What's
don't
she
know.
gonna do?
I feel like she's just kind of an underdeveloped character. Um, I don't know. I don't dislike her.
I, I
But
I don't think it's a spoiler to say she sticks around. She's here the whole time.
Yeah,
fair.
so we'll get there. It's just we're kind of just putting her in the group.
Well, and by the end of the season, we are kind of hitting a max capacity point where it's like, okay, this cast is getting a little big now. But I'm aware some of them, because is it after this season when Angel starts? Because
Yes.
obviously some of them will splinter off
So
into into that.
next season we're losing Angel and Cordelia. And Wesley. Wesley doesn't come back. Um, so that'll help offset some of that.
Okay.
So what? Yeah, what we'll do is because when we're done with this, we'll come back. We'll still do Buffy season 4 first because there's episodes in that lead into episodes of Angel, and then we'll do Angel season 1.
Okay.
But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to 19 unless there's anything else that we need to talk about.
Nope.
Choices.
This is a pretty good episode, although it starts one of the most uncomfortable scenes in the finale. It's set up for that. But this starts with Buffy wanting to leave Sunnydale because we're really moving forward with graduation and wanting to kind of move on. And the conflict of this is that Wesley's basically like, no. And so Buffy wants to get more proactive and stopping the mayor. And the box of Gavrok is the central thing that everybody wants this episode. Robert, did you predict what was in the box?
No. Is this the episode where the principal finally finds out what's going on? Is this the one where he's in the room with them?
This is the one where he's in the room
the
because
box.
he hilariously. This episode might be the best Snyder episode. He's like he snatches somebody's lunch and is like, "Oh, you're doing drugs, aren't you?" And the guy's like, "No, it's my lunch." Oh, is that the new drug on the streets? He's like, "No, it's my lunch." And he opens it, and sure enough, it's that guy's lunch.
He's so unhinged.
But
Yeah,
I
like
love,
he's never cared about drugs before, but it comes up like 3 times this episode.
and I love that he somehow has cops ready at the school because he knows that somebody's going to break in. My headcanon is that he just spends all night at the school waiting for somebody.
It's where he lives.
Yeah. Snyder hasn't been in the season nearly enough. It's a shame.
Yeah, but then we give him a lot more to do in these last few episodes. It's just nice to finally kind of confirm what he knows and doesn't know, because like we know he's answered to the mayor the whole time, but he doesn't know about
But see, I still
the
don't
big
know how
plan.
much he doesn't. I know he doesn't know about the Ascension, but I don't know how much of the supernatural he knows. Because it seems like earlier that he at least knows enough to know about vampires.
Yeah.
But no, the whole crux of this episode is they break in, they steal this box, but Faith gets Willow. I'm not sure how she found Willow, but whatever. And this leads to one of my favorite Faith scenes in the season, is that Faith and Willow finally get to have a heart to heart, and Faith's like, "Oh, are you gonna tell me it's not too late?" Blah blah blah. And Willow's like, "No, like you made your choice." And Eliza Dushku plays it really interesting. There's this look on Faith's face when Willow says that. I don't know if you guys noticed this, where it kind of comes off as she was hoping they hadn't actually given up on her yet. But to hear one of them say, "No, it is too late," I think kind of further broke something in her. It's very interesting. And I'm glad that it wasn't just a sudden, like, I'm evil now. There's still a little bit of her in there that, like, doesn't want to do this. Or am I overthinking this? What do you think, Robert?
No, I think that's a fair read. Also, as far as my personal subjective opinion goes, I think Faith's a little too far gone at this point. She's just murdering people willy nilly now. Like, she has gone off the rails. Also, one thing we didn't talk about earlier is if Faith's turn. We also make kind of like a dark side thing, where we do that thing where Angel's like, "Oh, once you kill people, you can't stop doing it." And I'm like, I don't think that's how it usually works. But then she has this scene with Xander where she starts like choking him out and almost kills him. And I'm like, oh my god.
So, respectfully, Robert, you say she's too far gone, but what about Angel? Is he too far gone?
Angel has the mechanism of when a vampire gets its soul back, it's not.
But but when he got his soul back, he chose to do better. Why can't Faith make that same choice?
She already has the soul. She has the soul still.
Okay, hold on. So if Angel killed somebody with his soul, then he's too far gone and should be killed.
It depends on the context.
If he killed,
it's a case by case situation.
I mean, like.
So you don't believe in redemption?
Not usually for serial killers. No.
Like I said, it depends. It depends on the story. It depends on the character. I understand that Faith is young and troubled. And
you're like, well, she's too far gone. Kill her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Like,
that's terrifying.
Yeah, actions have consequences.
Correct.
At a certain point, Faith, it's like, yeah, you made your bed. Now lay in it. I'm not gonna feel bad for you when this blows up in your face.
Angel chose to become a vampire.
That was a very different situation.
Yeah, you're playing a little fast and loose here. I think they're two very different scenarios.
Oh,
and you're the one doing the Angel comparison. We're not. Like,
yeah, I don't.
But the show is also like Angel is talking about. He knows what she's going through because he's been there. So why is it okay for Angel and not for Faith?
I mean, it's not because he feels really guilty about it. But like he has actively changed, and
but he had to get there. Yeah. She hasn't had the chance to.
I mean, yeah,
I think you're just giving her more leeway than we are. I mean, what when what started all of this chicanery was her killing a guy, and her solution to that is dumping his body in a river, we're already like, okay, that's going a little far. And then it's just bad choice after bad choice after that.
And then you
And
triple
famously,
down,
nobody that's
and-
made bad choices has ever come back from them.
It's like I said, I can't compare her to every other fictional and real life figure
Yeah,
in vaguely similar situations. I'm not saying I don't believe in redemption. I love redemption stories.
yeah.
But you're
And
saying
we'll
she
see-
shouldn't get one. You're saying she's too far gone.
She's too far gone at the point she's at, like, now. Like,
But if she's too far gone at the point that she's at, then she can never be redeemed. That's what you're saying.
like,
No.
Then she's not too far gone.
I mean, we're jumping ahead, but when we give Buffy kind of that dark turn later, like when she has a reason to go after and murder Faith, I'm like, yeah, this is fine. Like, I'm not like Buffy. No, there's still hope for Faith. I'm like, yeah, you can kill her. That's fine.
But I mean, I'd argue that Buffy was in the wrong there. Faith was also in the wrong, but two wrongs don't make a right.
No, I'm also the one who earlier this season said I think Buffy was in the wrong for talking Angel into living. I'm like, let this poor man rest and die already, and
Yes.
characters keep talking him into being alive. He's the Mr. Meeseeks of the show. He just wants to die, and the show won't let him.
No, he's the best character. You can't kill him.
Which is why you should be Team Buffy in that scenario. Like, yeah, kill Faith, save Angel. Right on.
I mean,
but I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that Faith is like pure evil. And again, I'm sure a redemption arc of some kind is coming with her later appearances, or not. We'll see. I don't know. I could see her being more of an anti-hero type character. But from my perspective, this isn't a light switch. I don't see Faith as like, oh, she was a good person, and then a couple fuck ups from other characters pushed her here. No, I think she was always kind of a not great person who has just gotten worse and has doubled down on the bad choices she's made. And at a certain point, I just lose sympathy with that. I'm not saying like that's a bad thing or that I'm not open to seeing what we do with her later, but I think where I start like when I stop feeling bad for her is when she lies to Giles about what happened with her and Buffy and the death of the deputy mayor. I think that's the specific point where I'm like, yeah, I don't feel bad for Faith, whatever, however this blows up in her face. Again, that's not me saying I'm anti-redemption. I'm willing to see where the show
but I'd
goes
also
with
argue that Buffy and company are just as responsible for getting her to that place as she is.
Disagree.
Oh, okay.
No.
Wesley deserves some flack for his fuck ups, but I do not think the Scooby Gang is as equally responsible for Faith's bad choices and fuck ups. Hard disagree there.
My argument would be, I think is consistent in the writing, because even in episode 7, which is where you first see the first crack, the first big fissure between them is that the Scooby Gang shuts her out of what's going on. And then the minute she does something that they don't like, they are all over her. Buffy spends, 2 episodes lecturing her about killing the guy. Buffy was right that they needed to confess. And then when she finally opens up to somebody, an Angel, Wesley drags her out in chains.
Because she murdered a guy and covered it up and tried to get out of it.
But Giles also... So then we should just throw in a dark sound lock, throw away the key.
Okay, John. Let's say, hypothetically, you have a friend who accidentally murders someone and then tries to get out of it, and then somebody else calls the police on that friend and gets them arrested. Are you saying the police are responsible for that murderer being a bad person?
I mean, I feel like this is a different case. You're also ignoring the context of the show to make your point.
Okay, let's say it was a hit and run. You know, a hit and run. Oh shit, I fucked up. I'm gonna cover the body and try to get out of it.
You know,
I'm fucking with you because you're fixated on this, and Hayden and I have
because
our
I'm
opinions.
using examples from the show, and you guys are just going, no, that's not how it works.
Okay, but you're the one who compared her to Angel in the first place, so we're like, yeah,
Which
that's
is
a
what the
different
show
situation.
does.
The characters do, but again, Hayden and I are saying like it's a different situation.
Yeah, like Angel's in active redemption, and like,
And
But you guys aren't letting Faith get to that point before you're already throwing them.
I never said that.
Okay.
we've also had several episodes in a row of her doubling down on this.
Yeah, she quadrupled down, joined the genocide man.
Yes, like
like-
on her own accord, she joined the mayor and his ascension and the plot to kill Buffy and this. She didn't have to do that. She wasn't forced into picking sides. She could have just left. Said, fuck all y'all.
Because people who made mistakes have never doubled down before realizing, oh shit, I've made a mistake.
What we're learning is you're a very forgiving person. I respect that.
Yeah.
I just don't believe in writing somebody off because they've made some bad choices. That's insane.
Hold on. This is gonna be hypocritical for me as an Omni-Man defender, but
no, you don't even. You don't get to say shit.
No, but
Omni-Man is way worse.
Yes, correct, but this is why I said I'm a hypocrite. A genocide is not a whoops.
Yeah.
Whatever. Moving on.
I don't know. Like I said, it's a number of bad choices in a row that make me go, yeah, you're a bad person.
But you're boiling her down to just her bad choices and ignoring how she got there.
She's Buffy's Venom in this season. She's a fucking...
She is.
Okay.
Like,
she's pure
also,
evil, irredeemable. Let's move on.
I'm not saying she's pure evil, but like when her and Buffy have like that big showdown, she's like, "Oh, fucking perfect Buffy. Everybody loves Buffy." Like her reasons for hating Buffy are extremely petty and are lacking solid ground. I'm not saying that's a mistake. I'm just observing that she's not a good person.
Yeah, I mean, I like the character a lot, and I'm not like, against the redemption. I just...
Well, Robert, stay with me here. Could it be that she's let these petty insecurities cloud her judgment, and she's making a bunch of bad choices, and the one time that people tried to help her, she got dragged out of the place in chains?
That wasn't the one time people tried to help her. We had a whole fucking episode of Buffy saying, we need to talk about this, figure this out, and she goes, no, I'm gonna hide.
But I would argue that Buffy is not the person that's able to help her. Angel or somebody like that would be the one to help her because they've been in similar situations with killing people.
And again, I disagree with the Angel analogy because according to the logic of
so
the
you
show,
disagree with the show.
Okay, because characters are hypothesizing things does not mean the show itself agrees or disagrees with them on. Angel's a different case because according to the internal logic of the show, he was a different person when he was a vampire murdering people. He was a literally different person.
But he knows what it's like to take a life is the point.
Yeah, and our actual Angel, we know deep down, feels bad about what that other version of himself did and is trying to make amends for it. Faith is not.
Is it possible, and hear me out, that he knows Faith is going to get to that point, and he wants to help her because he knows what it's like to have taken a life and to feel remorse for it, and he's trying to stop her from going down that path.
And we're not saying he's a bad person in this scenario.
I'm not saying he is either, but you're either underplaying or ignoring the fact that he could have reached her because he knows what it's like to kill someone.
Okay, so I think that is the genesis of like this whole debate here is you think Angel 100% could have reached her in that moment. We are less convinced because of that where she was at that point. She had already lied to Giles about Buffy killing that guy and wanting to get Buffy out of the way.
Eliza Dushku even plays it like she's opening up to Angel and listening. It's in the scene.
I think you can interpret that as lying. It's hard to tell.
But I mean, I could say that about anything then. Nobody, I can't take anybody
But-
seriously in the show because they
but
could be
they-
lying.
But it's someone who lies as a pattern. She lies
Yes.
before that, she lies after that in the same manner. She lies to
Yeah.
Angel in the same way as she's playing that, and she's a convincing liar. So I don't.
Also, like, John, I want to be clear. We're not like criticizing the show.
I'm
Like, we're
not. I
saying
know.
this all
I'm not saying
works.
you are, but I'm saying you're ignoring parts of the show to make your hypothesis work. The show clearly
think-
believes that Wesley interfering threw that whole thing under the bus and ruined it.
And you are very firm on that. If that didn't happen, she would have been redeemed by the end of the season, and I just don't agree with that.
I think it would have
I-
been a start.
I don't know, because
What?
then it's
We've
just a different show.
We've also been arguing for 20 minutes about a thing that doesn't.
Yeah,
matter.
Robert and I
Yeah.
get started, and we can't.
It's like,
And I'm
yeah,
just sitting here like,
I don't know, man. Like, it happens. Again, I'm not complaining about the show.
I mean, I know you're not. You seem to be enjoying it, which I'm glad.
Yeah. So anyway, the prom. What happens at the prom?
Wonderful
No
episode. So
Good
this-
episode.
so I am going to complain a little bit here with because this is the episode where Buffy and Angel break up. The problem is that I don't feel like that is a choice that Angel makes because that's what Angel wants. I feel like that is a choice he makes because the mayor got in his head, and
Yeah.
Joyce like berates him, and I'm assuming berates him into it because that's how the scene plays. But we never
But-
talk about the Joyce of it all. Like he never mentions, "Oh, your mom came to see me and like said this."
Yeah.
but John,
Which
what if Joyce didn't do that?
That's fucking stupid.
That's. I.
You're gonna sit there and make up scenarios from this fucking show when I'm using evidence things that actually happened in the show.
I was doing a bit.
he's doing a bit, John. Calm down.
Massage your temples. Relax.
You were making fun of me
Anyway.
for using the show's what happens in the show.
We don't need to rehash it.
No.
I don't know. This is probably the worst thing Joyce does, like in the back half of the season. But I also kind of get it. She's,
This is the worst thing Joyce has ever done.
no.
Oh God, no! Oh God, no!
No, I
No,
know. I'm joking.
I think overall, in the back half of the season compared to the first half, she's a lot less insufferable, and I feel like it's giving the show. I will say I think it's giving the show too much credit to say that's organic growth. It's more like, okay, we just decided to stop having her be an asshole. Like,
So
I
it's weird because I feel like other than the premiere, or not the premiere, the second episode, where she's understandably upset. I'm not agreeing with what she did, but I understand why she's upset about Buffy running off. Then she's kind of chill until Gingerbread when we do the possession thing, unless I'm forgetting something. And then we kind of decide that's just who she is now. She's chill with the slaying and like Buffy being who she is. So we have definitely retconned that a little bit, but I feel like the only real hiccup there is just the second episode. Because I can't count Gingerbread because I don't know how much of that is her.
exactly. Yeah, it might as well have not happened. So yeah, but with the Angel and Buffy of it all, like I said, that's something this last stretch of episodes I was kind of mixed on. It was just the love drama stuff that, like, I'm fine with the point we reached because I figured we were getting there of him finally just leaving and then going their separate ways. I just feel like the road getting there was a little bumpy in this stretch of episodes and a little more melodramatic than it needed to be.
I liked it until this episode, and I think this episode and a little bit in part one of the finale. Like, I like that, you know, he kind of has to do something that isn't black and white morally, like pretending to be Angelus, which is obviously a soft spot for her because of all that she went through, and so she kind of needs a break. But maybe that's where we should have played it, as like they were on a break through like episode 19, and then when it's time to come back together, he's like, maybe it's for the best that we don't.
Yeah, and then when he actually breaks up with her, she takes that really hard, and I don't know. There's
Understandably,
understandably, but there's just a lot of back and forth with them in these few episodes. I think could have been.
I do like in
simplified
this
a bit.
episode that, like, even though he's breaking up for her in his mind, well, and kind of they both end up agreeing that it's for the best, which is weird. I don't know if I'd buy that she would also agree with that, but I like that he shows up for the prom to give her that one, nice high school
Yeah.
moment.
No, that was a good scene. I like the prom dance. There's also the big scene at the prom with like her special award or whatever, and
Yeah.
talking about where she finally gets her recognition, like from the school of everything she's done, and that's gonna be kind of important for the finale. Which
Robert,
I like in theory. I just don't think we built there completely organically. That kind of came a little out of nowhere for me.
do you feel like we're building to a series finale? It almost feels like we're building to the series finale.
It does. The finale, and again, I completely understand why we keep going because it was a very popular show, but it does feel like a potential exit point. Like you could have stopped here with this season.
Well, that happens again in season 5, where
Oh boy.
No. Yeah, I think this is like, this is a fine episode except for the villain plot. I hate the Hellhounds. They're dumb.
yeah, they are dumb.
they're very silly.
I do like the Xander and Cordelia moments in this episode too, where he finds out that she's working at like a fashion store to afford a dress, because her dad messed up his taxes for years. So they're broke.
I was glad we finally got that reveal because I felt like there was a bit of unnecessary regression with Cordelia in the back half of the season, but that scene made it kind of work. So that was a relief.
Yeah. Which part of me wonders, kind of cynically, I guess, with the stuff with Angel and Cordelia, if we're setting them up because we know they're going off to do Angel. So like now Cordelia has to be poor to justify her being an Angel show, and Angel has to break up with Buffy so he can go to Los Angeles. But I think it works.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about the prom?
No.
Damn it,
No.
boy.
I didn't go to prom. I can't relate. 0 out of 10.
I mean, same, but
yeah, the villain plot's dumb. I liked all the character stuff, but like the main once they actually get to prom, I kind of give up. Where I'm just like, okay, she's gonna fight these things that are like they're dogs, but they're men in Power Ranger costumes that are
fine. It's fine.
In a whole
so
she gets in what looks like a fist fight with a dog. Because it's a man standing up.
Is he stupid?
Yeah, he's not on 4 legs. He's on 2 legs, and he's like punching.
So one thing I want to say, this is going to be slight spoilers, but I'm afraid I'll forget when we get there. Hey, and I don't know if you know this, but this guy was supposed to come back in season 6 as one of the main villains.
Oh.
But they couldn't get him. So they introduce a new character who they say is his cousin. And
wait. Oh. That was supposed to be this guy?
Yes. So
what the fuck?
Because they say he's the cousin of the guy that unleashed Hellhounds on prom, and it's this guy. The problem is this is such a throwaway villain that every time we get there, I forget about that. I was like, who?
Sorry, yeah, I'm trying not to spoil anything, but oh my god. The image of this character from this episode doing that baffles me.
Yeah. So keep that in mind, Robert. Write it down if you have to, so we can expand upon that in season 6. But the season 6 big bad is very, you either love it or hate it. And I don't know which way you'll fall.
Well, are we ready to talk about the graduation part finale?
Yes. And I'm also going to talk a little bit more about choices in the graduation discussion. So that big box, because we kind of got sidetracked. My bad. We find out our spiders. Season 9, episode 19 also has, I think, the first really wonky CGI shot that I noticed. So We find out that there are spiders, and one of them mauls the mayor, and then he's supposed to heal himself. But I don't know if you noticed this, either of you. The camera like distorts around him, I guess, to prepare for the CGI shot, and
I
it's
have that.
really noticeable.
I have that this season. I noticed it more in this season than the last one, where when there's an effect shot, the video quality goes down, and I don't know why.
I didn't have that as much, just a couple scenes here and there.
And I think it's bad in the finale. Like when
I
when that
I
demon is on screen,
oh
the
oh
camera
yeah, it's it's rough. I have a theory about that. I don't know if this is what happened, but a possible explanation for this, Hayden, is back in the day, like 80s, 90s, early CGI. I'm aware that a lot of these shows, like Star Trek: The Next Generation, were shot on film, not videotape. But sometimes like the finalized VFX were finalized on videotape, because they didn't give a shit because it was just going to air on shitty CRT TVs. So it could be a situation where like the non-effects heavy shots they were able to clean up because it was shot on film and look good. But then when you have shitty CGI, it's like, yeah, that's just how it looks because these effects were finalized on videotape. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying it's a possibility.
yeah, like every
For the
time,
era.
like the discount T1000 shot when the mayor's head gets cut in half, the video's distorted around to that.
Buffy just needs like a proper HD remaster so badly.
Yeah, and the only way, because Star Trek: The Next Generation got that, and the only way they were able to do that is they had to redo all of the effects shots.
Oh.
So it cost like millions of dollars, but it's cool that they did that. So I don't know if Buffy will ever get that treatment. So
And Buffy's
I thought
insanely popular, so I'm surprised it hasn't.
it is. I thought there
So
was maybe this was fan made. I thought there was like a restoration that's
It was
like
bad.
infamous.
Yeah, oh
so
god.
there is an HD release that is infamously bad.
Okay.
They So you know that scene? I'm gonna use this two-parter as an example. You know that scene where Buffy and Angel or Faith are fighting on the roof?
Mhm.
The HD remaster is so poorly edited and cropped, you can see the stage behind them and all the crew filming it.
That's amazing.
No, they didn't put back any of the correct color timings or cinematography. Everyone looks like dolls. It's They didn't crop it right for 16:9, and so it's just the image, the whole image. It's a disaster.
Yeah.
Uh,
So what was this for? Was this like a DVD release? Because I presume that's not what I've been watching. Like that's not what I've been watching at Disney Plus. Like the Disney Plus is the original version, or
Yeah.
Hulu. Uh,
I don't know if this was like put out on Blu-ray or DVD. Um, here, I'm gonna send you a couple of examples, Robert. Here's one of them. This is the one where it's like, what the fuck?
well, and I also know that some of these shows, they were filmed wide and then they knew, yeah, these are going to be cropped in post for 4:3. It's just really funny that some fuck ups like that happened, and then yeah, looking at that, like that looks rough.
Where'd you put that?
I just
Oh,
sent it
he
to him
just
here. I'll send it to you too. My understanding is that Joss filmed at least early seasons in 4:3 for television. That's why on like the Faith fight you can see the sound crew and the cameras and everything, because that was never meant to be seen.
yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Um yes, here. I found it.
Um, oh god, that's so funny.
Oh, them fighting on top of on the roof. Which maybe I'm just making this up. Is that the same set that her and Angel fight on at the end of season 2? Because it looks like it.
I don't think so, because they're clearly on a roof and they're there in that mansion.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
that
that's
that
Um,
mansion, that fight though does go through a few different rooms, so I don't know. It could be repurposed a bit.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure.
Um,
But yeah, Robert, how did you feel about Graduation Day Part 1 and 2?
it was good. In this one, Faith kills the professor because she's too far gone. Uh, because the mayor told her to. And this is the one where Faith shoots Angel with the poison arrow, and he's like, "Please, just let me die." And everyone's like, "No, you're getting a spinoff. Damn it!"
Well, famously, all
You
redemption
like-
stories start by murdering a geologist. So
It's true. It's true.
Famously, once you do
but-
something wrong, you're doomed for life.
oh
I
my
mean,
God. You're
sometimes that's how the justice system works, depending on the context of the murder.
Yeah, no one who's ever killed anyone has ever earned redemption or tried to be a better person after. Famously.
Remember when I said it's a case by case basis?
no.
It depends. Th- all I'm saying is, at this point in time, she is too far gone. And yeah, she's a real problem. This episode, like I said, Angel gets poisoned. No, I thought it was just a solid part 1 to a 2-part finale.
We give
I think
Anya
this-
something to do. She's witnessed an ascension.
Yes.
Yeah, here she's like actually important to the plot.
This is also very important lore-wise because we established that all the demons that you see in this show, the vampires and other things, are basically watered down half demons. What they're getting ready to face is a full demon.
Which does track, I think, because like there have been 1 or 2 other instances of like big CGI demons, like monsters that we see very briefly.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's happened a couple times.
Have we? Because we've done the we've already watched the episode where Buffy's kidnapped by that like frat group, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I think they summon a big snake man there too.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Why is it always snakes? Like what?
Yeah.
Why not?
Why I love the bit earlier where Face like I'll be at his right hand if he has hands when he does the ascension.
I do like how they're really vague with what exactly is going to happen during this ascension until the finale when you need to know.
See, that stuff is good until it happens, and then you're like,
Yeah.
I just think that's a product of its time. That doesn't bother me.
him like spazzing out, and then the
Now him freaking out's awesome. But you're getting ahead of us, Hadan. So this pays off also what that box was for. And probably the most disgusting thing in this season, he has to eat like all of those spiders.
Yes.
Hayden would do that.
no,
You eat
But he
spiders
liked
for
them
breakfast.
he liked him apparently because he's like,
They're very strong in fiber, and it's very important to be regular.
Yeah.
yes,
He's not wrong.
Is this the episode where he makes Faith wear that pink dress, or is that last episode?
I think it's no, because Faith's in coma land in the last
Yeah.
We're still on
so
part
that-
1, Hayden.
I misheard you. I thought you said, or is that the last episode?
No, the
No,
last
like-
one, the previous one.
Yeah, no, that would have to be this episode.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. I think that's a really interesting but horrifying kind of capstone to their relationship, where at that point she is basically just his daughter, but in a horrifying like, yeah, go now. You can go put your regular clothes on and go do my bidding.
What's the plan for after he's the demon? Is she still gonna be his daughter
Yeah,
when he's a big snake
Yes.
demon?
yeah.
Does
It's
she also
almost
get to-
it's almost like she's acting on impulse and isn't thinking things through.
Yeah.
I meant what was his plan?
I think his plan is just to eat people.
He hungry.
Yes.
Uh.
I like, and I think it's this episode where we get Buffy quitting the council because they won't help with Angel, because the council
That's
continues
good.
to be a bunch of hypocrites, almost like they're the bad guys.
they have a sex pest that they really need to get rid of.
Yes.
Objectively,
Being
Yeah,
interested in someone that's only a couple years younger than you means you're a sex, and that
I
is an
don't know
adult.
that.
He's probably like 25 and she's 18, and that's weird.
That's still not okay.
Yeah, that's what I said. No.
Okay. Uh,
But yeah, I don't have a whole lot else to say about this episode. It's solid.
Yeah.
It's a good part one.
Yep.
I don't think the finale overall is as strong as the season 2 finale, but I don't know if anything can be.
No.
That's kind of impossible to top at this point.
yeah,
But yeah, it's a solid part one.
Something that I've been wanting to mention as well is the fight choreography is really good in this season. The Buffy and Faith fights are fantastic for television, especially this time. But yeah, and then we move into part 2 of the season 3 finale. Buffy, and there is one thing with Xander and Angel that annoys me in this season or in this episode. So Buffy lets him drink to heal him.
Yeah.
And then when she's put in the hospital, Xander acts like Angel's a coward that would rather drink Buffy's blood than die. And Buffy pushed him into it.
Yeah. That was just a whatever moment. It's like every time anything like remotely dramatic happens between Angel and Buffy, we have to have a Xander moment where he's like, "Yeah, fuck Angel. That guy sucks."
Okay. Yeah, and then she goes to the hospital, which, speaking of that hospital, I have a logistic question.
Go for it.
Is it like the Smallville hospital?
So, the mayor tries to kill Buffy with his hand by suffocating her. A nurse sees it, does not deduce that this is the mayor.
Yes.
And he is allowed to continue the commencement speech at the high school the same day.
To be fair, how many people actually know what their mayor looks like? I don't know. I can buy it.
Because that's not the first time they do that either. The mayor, I don't know if it's just like my monitor or modern like screens. The mayor is clearly there at the school that night in the 19. But then he steps forward and says something to Snyder, and Snyder's like, "Oh, I didn't see you there." What?
But
I do kind of like the idea though that like nobody wants to mess with the mayor, so they just let him choke out this teenager.
But it also like it's just like you said, modern screens. Where his hand is, you can see Buffy's nostril like poking above it.
Sure.
So she can still breathe.
Yeah.
It's fine.
No, but that is a nice Angel moment where he like shoves him off of her.
Yeah, and I mean the opening of the episode Buffy does make some questionable choices in this last stretch of episodes too, because she's kind of spiraling. Like when she forces Angel to feed off of her, I'm like, this is a bad idea. But that's also a scene where you could tell Whedon's kind of pushing things. Because like that scene where he's biting her and you get like an actual close up of blood, like we couldn't get away with that in season 1. Like we are pushing the boundaries.
Well, I mean, not only that, he straight up shoots at like a sex scene.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a couple things like that. Like, it's so funny. He talks about there's a shot later. I'm not gonna say what it is, but is it shot implicitly like a sex scene between two women? And he got away with that with the censors. But the moment they saw them kiss, nope, had to cut that.
No.
Yeah. Truly the saddest thing about this episode is we lost Snyder. He
goes so far off the rails that in his death scene he's just like, get off of my campus, demon monster.
Yeah. Mayor Demon Man.
He truly did nothing wrong. He didn't deserve to get eaten.
The Freddy pillar from Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah.
That's what that thing looks like.
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about earlier with like how the prom episode is kind of setting this up, how Buffy's actually getting recognition from her fellow classmates on everything she's done for them, that now like they're all joined in um to fight this thing and are like all in on the plan. Like I like that stuff on paper. I just think in hindsight we could have built there a bit more organically. So some of that stuff was a little rushed for me. But it was a cool idea.
That's fair. It's not my favorite, but I like because especially because if they thought this was it, like because like we said, this is written like a finale. If this was the finale, that'd be the hell yeah moment. Like, oh, the whole school comes together. It just, I think maybe it plays a little lesser because there's 4 more seasons to go.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the other problem is just we've had 3 seasons of the show where like these horrible, insane things happen, but like 90% of the time we have to reset status quo, and it doesn't feel like anyone else has like registered or remembered the bad things that have happened, because objectively everyone in that school should be traumatized by now and understand that there are monsters and things going on, but you're not like actually that aware of that for most of the show, because most of the time everyone's just living their own lives acting like nothing weird's happening.
So I didn't mean for us to go this long. I meant for us to go like an hour and a half. We're at almost 2 hours, or at almost 2.5 hours. The season's very dense, so we're gonna kind of steamroll through it. I really like Angel's last scene with Buffy. They don't need to say anything. Like everything's been done.
Yeah, that's fine.
He disappears off to L.A. But like I said, we're losing Angel. We're losing Xander. God damn it, Cordelia. We lost Snyder. I wish he'd stuck around, but whatever. And I do like
He should
as
join
a
the Scooby Gang.
yeah. I mean, that is the best part of Band Kid is when he joins the Scooby Gang. But I do like also as a metaphor for graduation, and if this was intended to be like a series finale in case they don't get renewed, they blow up the school.
That was great. No, I appreciate the ambition and scale of this episode. It just doesn't have the budget to reach it. Like Hayden was saying, some of that CGI is bad.
I will say it is better than some other finales. I will argue that this looks better than the Smallville series finale.
Maybe.
Darkseid looks really bad.
I haven't seen the series finale, but later.
What does the mayor say before he's like, oh shucks or something?
Oh geez, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
That was great. I didn't even know he could still talk. And then those are his last words.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like I said, the idea of having the school like team up to fight the monster is fun. The gay guy dies. That was sad. That was like, oh.
Who?
Because he shows up again. The guy who comes out and has those scenes with Xander, like he thinks Xander's gay.
Oh yeah.
He gets killed in the battle. I was like,
oh man, don't do that.
Stop.
All right.
I think everyone else is fine.
Hayden, is there anything you want to say about the finale before we move into our wrap up?
I do find the like, I like the way it's done, but it does end kind of fast, in my opinion. Like
it ends a little fast, yeah.
Where and not even just like the final battle, that's all fine. Just like the character resolution, and then Angel just like looks at her from behind a fire truck and then leaves, and then is like,
"Oh, see, I think that works." Like they've said what they need to say. I don't know.
I do think it's funny that our final epilogue with the group, we kind of make Oz the focus of it, where he's like, "Guys, like high school's over, fuck," like, and then like they walk away and you get that close up on the bench and everything. But I'm like, you weren't here at the start. Like, he's still kind of new to me.
And then he goes to do his spinoff, Oz, the prison show.
That'd be great. But no, like overall satisfying finale. Again, not as good as the season 2 finale, but I think it's satisfying enough ending that if they stopped here, it would have been fine. It does feel like an out.
Probably wouldn't have gotten Angel. I don't know if that would have still worked if they ended the show here, but either way, because I think I've said this before, I do ultimately prefer Angel as a show. It's a lot messier in places, but I do prefer it.
Is it messier than season 7 of Buffy?
Season 4 of Angel and season 7 of Buffy are on about equal footing.
Oh, good.
And they aired together, so I don't know if there was just something in the water during that season or.
Yeah,
So
and the only thing that's like a little cliffhanger-ish, ignoring what comes later, because like Hayden said, we find out in this episode that Faith isn't dead; she's in a coma, so we don't have to resurrect her. She'll just be back later. But this is where we do start teasing, like, oh, maybe there is still good in her. I don't know. She doesn't deserve it, but whatever. Um, but ignoring what comes later, do you guys think it was a mistake not to kill her off? Only because there is kind of a pattern now of we have like this new complex interesting character, but we don't really want to kill them. We'll just
no,
skip
So I
out and
because
think
we've
bring
I
already
back.
think
established that if Buffy kills her, then she's no better than Faith.
And I would disagree with that.
I do disagree, but I think behind the scenes, and I don't know if this has been confirmed. I don't think Whedon wanted to do the same plot again of a new Slayer coming to town, and if you kill Faith, that's what's happened. That's what
That's a good
happened.
point. That is a good point.
And I also think
So
because I know at one point like a Faith spinoff was in the works, but Dushku didn't want to come back and play it for more than just one-off appearances.
That's
but
interesting.
yeah, like this is the most Faith does come back in both shows, but this is like the most Faith we ever get.
Okay.
She's pretty big in season 7.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I tried to
Yeah.
pretend that didn't happen, but
Anyway,
We'll
okay,
get there.
so I'm gonna get to best episode, worst episode, best and worst episode here in a second. Robert, I said that we would do Buffy season 4 first and then Angel because there's a couple episodes here and there that kind of line up. But I'm gonna let you pick since you are the newcomer. Are you wanting to watch more Buffy next or do Angel next?
A part of me would probably prefer to just go through all of Buffy and then do all of Angel.
Well, we're not gonna do that. I'm just asking which season you want to do next, 4 or 1. We're still gonna alternate because there's certain episodes that you should see in a specific order or together.
Well,
but
in that case, I'd say Buffy season
Okay.
4.
I'm also just
We'll
really
do that
impatient to
first.
watch Angel. All
yeah,
right, so we'll do
yeah, okay.
because Hadan has not seen Angel either because he's a fraud. All right, so in about what is our normal time frame? Like a month?
Yeah.
A month, maybe longer. We'll see.
Soonish we'll come back with season 4, part 1 of Buffy. Robert, any predictions for season 4?
Not many. Obviously, we're gonna be starting college, and just because I'm aware of the cast shakeups, I do get the vibe that it's gonna be kind of a back to basics. Like, there's probably gonna be more focus on Buffy, Xander, Willow, and Giles. Like, I feel like there is a deliberate move to get kind of back to that core focus. But we'll see. That's kind of all I have in
Okay.
terms of predictions.
Robert, best episode and worst episode of the back half.
I'm struggling to come up with the best episode. Like, is it wrong if I say the Zeppo? that one really
I did not expect
together.
that.
That one really came together for me by the end. But I would say, in terms of having a strong finish, Enemies probably the best episode in this back half, just for that ending with the Angelus twist
Mhm.
and all that. I might have to go with Enemies. That one really came together at the end.
And worst?
And worst, I guess, is Earshot, which, again, I don't hate that episode. Like, there's good stuff in it. It's just kind of a mess.
Yeah.
Overall.
For me, best is probably it's either Bad Girls or Enemies, and then the worst is Earshot.
Damn it! Now I got to pick a new best episode. Yeah, I'm gonna go Bad Girls for best. I think that I love that episode. I love that talk between them at the end of the 14. Worst. God, I feel like I also have to go with Earshot. I like that episode. I just think the ending jumps off a cliff. In multiple ways.
Like I said, this is a very consistent season, which makes it a lot harder to choose
Yeah.
best and worst.
Robert, I don't think we did this last 2 seasons, but I'm just curious. If you had to give this a score, what would you give it?
Like just the season as a whole.
Yes.
Yeah, but probably like a 4 out of. It would be a 4 out of 5 at least. Like it's very solid. It's
his
very
second-
great.
4 out of 10.
I forgot we did out of 5, and I thought you were going to say out of 2. I was like, what?
Yeah, 4 out of 10.
Fuck. If you're watching after the fact, please consider hitting that like and subscribe. And we'll see you guys on the next one.